Classes in session, college football, hitting the book show for Monday, November 17th. Ian Cameron, Connor Mack with you. Week 13 of the college football season. 2 weeks left in the regular season as we're down the home stretch. We're like that horse coming around the three-quarter mile. We're coming down the home stretch here of the college football season with just 2 weeks left in the regular season. Then it'll be conference championship weekend. And then after that, bowl games and the playoff begins. So, like I said, it's amazing how quickly it goes by. Another fascinating weekend, college football. Oklahoma gets a big win against Alabama over the weekend. How about the unbelievable comeback by Texas A&M when it finally looked like they were going to lose a game, down 30-3 to South Carolina? And even that kind of a lead was not safe as they come all the way back with 28 unanswered points to beat the Gamecocks and maintain the great run they've been on. So a lot of interesting results, of course, over the weekend in college football. Those two definitely stood out. But now it's on to Week 13, and we will get right into it right now. Again, action to begin the week with these Tuesday, Wednesday Mid-American Conference games. And we will begin with the lowly, sad sack, embarrassing, pathetic, horrific UMass Minutemen as they take on the Ohio Bobcats. Ohio 32.5-point home favorites, 51.5 the total here in this game. I already went ahead knowing that this number could only go up, even though it's already a very big number. I already went ahead and laid it with the Bobcats here. I think this is just a complete destruction, complete demolition. I'd even go one step further and take Ohio minus 20.5 in the first half in this game. They are the much, much, much better team. They're coming off a frustrating loss last week to Western Michigan, but still everything is there for Ohio. They're still very much in the MAC championship hunt, so it's time to get right back in the saddle if you're Ohio and try to bounce back from the loss to Western Michigan, and you got the right opponent to do it against because UMass is absolutely pathetic. 0-10 on the season straight up. They haven't won a game, and you know how bad you have to be a winless team and still be 2-8 against the spread. Like the power ratings can't be any lower for anybody on UMass right now. And they still can't cover point spreads. Everybody knows they're bad. Everybody knows they're one of the worst teams in college football. There's no secret there. And they still can't cover numbers. Look at the last 3 games they haven't covered. 25-point loss at Central Michigan. I don't know how you lose 34 to Akron, but they did. And, of course, last week, it was ridiculous. 45-3 on their home field. They get blown out, and they give up 45 points to what had been a lifeless Northern Illinois offense in that game, and they give up 45. So Ohio should score on every possession, or close to it with Parker Navarro here and company. I know Connor Mack loved the UMass team total under last week in that game against Northern Illinois. Maybe he's going to come back to the well with another UMass team total under. That team total, I'm seeing it right now, 7.5, 8.5. And I'll say this right now to everybody, I wouldn't be betting that sucker over. That much I can tell you. It doesn't matter if it's Hairston, doesn't matter if it's Brandon Rose, the 2 guys that played quarterback last week for UMass. They all stink. The offense is terrible. Yeah, this is Ohio or pass for me. I already laid it first half, full game with the Bobcats. C-Mac, what do you think here? UMass, Ohio.
Yeah, on that team total, let's just hit on it. Yeah, I don't know how you bet it over. I mean, unless they just get sloppy late, and give up a touchdown, they get a field goal or something, which always, when I get those type numbers, can happen. That's why they scare the shit out of me sometimes taking it. It's in these college football games. But I think you're right here. This UMass team is they're not very good. I don't know how, like you talked about, lay it here. I just don't know how Ohio even, and I think you might be onto something with the first half. As much as I like the full game team total, 41.5, I think the first half team total might be even better. Just seems like they'll get 3 or 4 touchdowns.
Yep.
Off UMass, as long as they're not taking them lightly, which
off
this UMass defense
is. That's what I'm banking on. Off a loss, Ohio won't take them lightly. That's what I'm kind of hoping for.
Yeah, I think so too. So that's what I'll be looking at. Team total here, full game or even first half with Ohio, short and simple.
Yeah, no doubt. And I wouldn't even talk anyone out of UMass team total under again. Again.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind it. Gosh, I don't know how they score 10. So, yeah, I don't mind it.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, next up, we've got Akron Bowling Green, also Tuesday night in Maction. We've got Bowling Green, 3.5-point home favorites, 47.5 the total here in this game. You know, you look at Bowling Green, and they're off 4 straight losses, straight up and against the spread. I can't lay 3.5 with them. It's just a question of, do I want to back the Akron Zips here in this game? But Bowling Green, like I said, 0-4 straight up, 0-4 against the spread. And I guess the best loss was against Central Michigan. The other 3 losses, you know, Kent State, Buffalo's kind of tailed off, and Eastern Michigan. So it's not like they've lost to the best teams in this conference here during this 4-game losing streak. Meanwhile, you've got Akron, who just when we thought they were starting to turn things up a little bit with the wins against Buffalo and UMass, although UMass doesn't say much that they beat them, they lose as a favorite of 7.5 last week against Kent State. So 1 step forward, 2 steps back, if you will, for this Akron Zips team. But Drew Pine is questionable at quarterback here for Bowling Green. He didn't play last Saturday against Eastern Michigan. We'll see if he's able to come back for this game. Lucian Anderson is the guy that's been filling in. Will likely fill in here for Bowling Green if Pine can't go. Obviously for Akron, the one thing I'll say about Akron is Ben Finley and the offense for the Zips has been, you know, a little bit better in some of these recent games and performances. Even the loss against Ball State, they put up 28 points in that game. Last year, it was a very good Bowling Green team, if you remember. Very good Bowling Green team last season with obviously Connor Bazelak at quarterback. And yet Akron at home covered the number as a 16-point dog against Bowling Green, losing only by 7. The yardage numbers were pretty equal, 385 to 321, only a slight yardage advantage for Bowling Green in that game. So Akron was pretty competitive last year head-to-head against this Bowling Green team. I haven't moved on this game yet, but it's Akron or pass. I'm not laying more than a field goal right now with this Falcons squad. What do you think here in this one, C-Mac? Akron, Bowling Green.
Yeah, I can't either. I just, not with Najim here at quarterback. This offense just seems to sputter as of late, and I can't back them even here at home. If they play well, it'll be their defense that's been pretty good for the most part all year long, at least somewhat consistent, I'd say, for Bowling Green. And then when you're not getting the offense, it's just, that's why they've had, 4 straight losses here?
Yep.
You know, 2 on the road, 2 at home. Yeah, it's just kind of a downward spiral for this offense for Bowling Green. And as much as I didn't like Akron last week, I kind of like them here. I agree. I think they're the dog to look at. I think they can run the football at least enough. Like when you go through these teams kind of give it the same. You know, Akron 135 on the ground. Bowling Green gives up almost 150. You know, they throw for 222. Bowling Green's pass defense has been decent, but a little over 200. So, yeah, I like Akron. And I kind of lean under, but I don't know if I love it. This is a total I need more time with.
All right, lean into the under, but yeah, it's Akron or pass. It sounds like for both of us. Yeah, I apologize. It was not Lucian Anderson. We thought it was going to be, but it was Hunter Nam that was the quarterback for.
Yeah, Nam.
The last time they were in there, and yeah.
It doesn't matter really.
Yeah,
who either guy hasn't been able to do anything.
Yeah, to be honest, Drew Pine's nothing to write home about either, even if he does come back and play in this game. So, like I said,
I'd rather have him.
Challenge team. It is.
Yeah, it is for sure. Definitely.
All right, Western Michigan and Northern Illinois. We've got Western Michigan 6.5-point road favorites, 38.5 the total. A nice win last week against Ohio on their home field. Close defensive battle, and Western Michigan was able to pull it out and get the victory in that game. They're now 1 game clear of that whole big group of teams that are tied for second at 4-2 in conference play. Western Michigan stands alone first in the MAC, 5-1 in conference play. So that's how big of a win that was. Then you've got Central Michigan, Ohio, Toledo, Buffalo, Miami, Ohio, all live still to make the conference championship game as well. But Western Michigan's in really good shape because they're alone in first. Now, does that mean I want to lay 6.5 with them here on the road? I don't know. Northern Illinois. How much do we glean from that Northern Illinois performance? Because yeah, it was impressive, but UMass is god awful. You cannot give Northern Illinois too much credit for that. Their offense has been a problem much of the season. That being said, and really, to be honest, it really wasn't anything great that the quarterbacks did. It was the run game. 318 on the ground for Northern Illinois last week in that destruction over UMass. So, that's going to end up being the thing to watch for here against Western Michigan's defense. Northern Illinois, in my opinion, they have to be able to – they can't throw it a lick. They have to be able to run the football, and you're talking about a pretty darn rock-solid Western Michigan run defense that's only given up 3.6 yards per carry so far this season. So Western Michigan Northern Illinois probably can't run the football with all that much effectiveness. It's not a great Western Michigan spot, almost home and cool in the MAC. Now, not home and cool, but, they got a game lead on everybody. Don't want to lay 6.5 in a spot like this after the big win they had against Ohio last week in that big game, but I've got real concerns about whether Northern Illinois can move the football, and if they can't move the ball on the ground, they can't move the ball at all, and that's my concern here against Western Michigan's defense. So it's probably going to be a pass here. C-Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that's going to be a problem for them. That leads right to the under. I don't know how, even with this low total, how Northern Illinois moves the football much. But I have to say, I wonder where this number goes here. It's 6.5. That's another reason why I don't want it. Maybe we get moved. I think a lot of people are like Western Michigan and how they playing. This team is played well. What do they have? 6 out of the last 7 games they've ripped off here, wins. The only loss was at Miami, Ohio.
Yep.
Defense has been good, running the football.
Defense is really good, and Lowry
taking care of the football.
Come
yes,
alive a little bit. He's playing better at quarterback for them. He doesn't have to be great with that defense. Just be solid. Manage the game. Don't make mistakes.
Yeah, bingo. Recipe for success. There's a lot like that here in this MAC conference sometimes, just like that. Man, but I think Northern Illinois could hang in this game. There's a big spot at home. I think their defense could play well. It's just, can they score enough? So I was looking dead at the under. And I kind of, if I have over a touchdown, I think it might be Northern Illinois here. I think they could hang in this game, at least within the touchdown.
All right, next up, we go to Wednesday, where we have Miami, Ohio, and Buffalo. Buffalo, 2-point home favorites, 39.5 the total in this game. I voiced my disgust, my anger, my frustration with this many times on this show, especially when it comes to college sports, college football, college basketball. It is asinine that the NCAA tries to make it sound like, hey, we're opening our arms to the betting community and all these, deals you see with FanDuel and DraftKings and all this stuff, and it's talked about everywhere. And you can't make absences, and whether it's suspensions or injuries, or in this case, someone leaving a football team, you can't make that announcement and knowledge known for the people ahead of time and not drop it on everybody, 30 minutes before kickoff?
Yeah, right before kickoff. Yeah.
And here I am with a big bet on Miami, Ohio last week against Toledo, and I find out DeQuan Finn has taken his ball and gone home, and he's a fucking idiot for doing it, and a horrible teammate, a horrible program guy for doing it.
Yeah.
He's a horrible guy for doing it. Your team could still win the MAC. You could still win this conference, and I'm not going to play again the rest of the season, and I'm leaving the program. I'm leaving the team to prepare for the NFL draft. Really? You're going to be lucky to be drafted, man. Who the hell's going to take you? You're going to be fortunate to be sitting there in the 7th round still available. You're no big-time NFL prospect. Are you shitting me? I've watched you play all these years, DeQuan Finn. You can't throw the football accurately half the time. What the hell makes you think you're going to be some big-time NFL guy that I'm going to walk away from a team that could win their conference and play for something special? I can't believe the gall, quite honestly. of
Crazy.
DeQuan to do this. I can't believe it. Forget my bet. Who the fuck cares about Ian Cameron's money? I'm talking about him and what he did to his football program and his coach, Chuck Martin, what he did to his teammates. He let them all down. Because he's selfish. Selfish. That's what he is. He's established that.
Why the fuck did he play this year then? This guy's got 3 weeks to go.
It does.
Like, to prepare for the draft. And that was a bunch of bullshit when it came out, Babana.
Draft. You're going to be lucky to get picked in the 7th round. You're no big-time prospect. You're not going to have an NFL future. You're not going to be good enough to make it in the NFL. Period.
Yeah.
I've seen enough of you. You're not good enough. And you're going to do this to your football team? That's a disgrace.
Yeah.
That's simple.
I know. Well, I'm glad that's came out, because remember when this happens right before kickoff, it's like, oh, he's got an undisclosed injury. But he's not playing. Just a bullshit lie.
Undisclosed selfishness.
Yeah, it was really that. Yeah.
That's what it is. I can't believe he did that to his football team in a season where they could still win the conference. I don't know when he made this decision. It sounded like it was not too far removed from that Toledo game last week. And then all of a sudden, of course, because he's left the program, and what are you going to do? He's an adult. If you're Chuck Martin in the Miami O program, you can't handcuff him and say, hey, and he's not under contract. You can't do anything. If he wants to leave the program, he's gonna. But then all of a sudden, obviously everything changes, and I don't want to rip him too much because it was probably a bad situation. But obviously, unexpectedly, the next quarterback in line, quarterback 2, Henry Hessen, has to start in that game for Miami O. And oh my God, I'm still having headaches watching that guy play last week. He was abysmal. I can't even stress enough how bad that he performed last week. 11 for 38 completion rate. 11 for 38. 3 interceptions, no touchdowns. I knew the moment that game started and he couldn't do anything and he couldn't get a first down. He's throwing interceptions. I said, this bet's done. See you later, Miami O plus the points. We got no shot. None. 0. And, of course, Toledo ended up running away with it. Wasn't even competitive. And Toledo ended up winning that game 24-3. Now, obviously, look, that guy was horrible last week, Hessen. He will get a week of practice now. He probably can only get better. I don't even care. I've seen enough. He was that bad. I don't see him going into Buffalo leading this offense and winning. And who the hell knows where the mentality of this program is right now? You just had your quarterback that's actually played okay for you at times this season, DeQuan Finn, just basically take his ball and go home and basically leave you high and dry, in a season where you could still win this conference. And they still can. They're in that mix with the 4-2 teams in conference play. One of those is Buffalo, by the way, who are still in the mix too, to maybe get in that MAC championship game. Buffalo, though, what are you going to get from them? 38-19 loss to Central Michigan last week. Roberson, he can't throw the football worth a lick too. That's why he's on his 8th program, or it feels like it, in college football. You had Gunnar Gray take over. There's questions about where Pete Lembo is going to turn at quarterback, although it looks like he's going to stick with Roberson. I'm still taking Buffalo here at home, laying less than a field goal. It's also been a home-dominated series history. Look at every recent Miami, Ohio, Buffalo game. The home team has won pretty much 6 straight between these two teams. So I'll be on Buffalo here, anything less than a field goal. And I'll probably just take money line. You can get the money line on Buffalo here at -125 in this one. He's that bad, Henry Hessen. And sure, he's going to have a week of practice. I get it. But on the road, trusting that guy to play good at the quarterback spot after what I saw last week. Toledo's defense is not spectacular, and he could not even function.
They're pretty good.
They're pretty good.
They're deep for the MAC.
Function.
One of the better defenses I think they've had in the last few years.
It's solid defense, but still, he was bad. That was not all Toledo's defense being great. He was horrific. And I think on the road, he's going to struggle here, too. So I like Buffalo. C-Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, I think if you like Buffalo, just take the money line here. Don't mess around. Because the only way, as good as some of the numbers with Buffalo and their defense, which I don't know how Miami scores, is Miami, Ohio's defense has to keep them in this game. It has to be just low scoring, maybe special teams, have a big day there. That was kind of running through. I got to dig deeper on their special teams. because Hessen, I don't see how he's going to really do anything in this game at all. So they got to hang their hat on that and to keep this game just low scoring, which just leads me more a little bit to this under. So yeah, this is going to be difficult. I think Buffalo.
Buffalo's been pretty good lately too, off a loss. Like that's the one thing Buffalo's a crazy schizophrenic team, but off a loss they've responded the last couple times. They haven't had a good game, so hoping that's the case here.
I don't know if it's easy, but the quarterback play that they could eke this out.
Yeah,
tight win. You know what I mean? 2017 or even type game. I think.
Yeah, I think that's possible. Like I said, I like Buffalo. I just don't, this whole situation does not feel right, smell right for Miami, Ohio. I mean, they've got to be they must be thinking, what the fuck? Really?
Yeah.
This guy's just leaving us. We could still win our conference, still win a MAC championship, and this guy's going to just quit on us and go to the draft when he may not even get drafted because he stinks and he's not going to be any sort of big-time quarterback in the NFL. That's like me saying, you know what, Connor Mack, no hitting the book show today. I got to leave to prepare to be a pro golfer when I know in a million years I'm not going to be any sort of good golfer at the professional level. Why don't I just do that since we're in the habit of doing this? What a bunch of – that's some of the biggest nonsense I've ever seen. That this guy's quitting for the NFL draft. But he's not even good enough probably to be drafted. Maybe the 7th round. Maybe, if he's lucky, someone's going to take it.
The biggest thing, too, is it's not just like it was in September. It's in the biggest game against his ex-team on a huge spotlight game. It wasn't just
you started your career there, dummy.
Yeah, that's what made it just like, wow, what's going on?
I couldn't believe it.
For sure.
I couldn't believe it. That's the problem here. Certain people, like they have no idea what it's like to be a good team guy anymore, and that's being as bad a team guy as you could possibly be, right there.
It's what's weird. It kind of could go both ways. Now the most of these guys, as long as you're starting and stuff, you get paid, of course, within all the money. But the other way, it could make you a good teammate, or you just don't give a shit. And there's always good teammates and bad teammates, and now the money's involved. I think you'd see it a little bit more.
Ridiculous
diva mentality.
Sickening. Terrible. Feel bad for Chuck Martin. Feel bad for those Red Hawks players. They don't deserve that. All right, next up, Central Michigan and Kent State. We've got Central Michigan, 8-point road favorites, 47.5 the total. In this game. Central Michigan, like I said, I've been impressed with this team. They've been a good point spread team here in MAC conference play. They are 5-1 against the spread. Their only failure as a ATS in conference play was against Akron when they lost 28-22. But other than that, they beat Bowling Green by double digits, Eastern Michigan by double digits, UMass by double digits, Buffalo at home last week by double digits, and I was on Central Michigan last week, so good to see them cash. And then at Western Michigan, 6-point dogs they covered. So, really don't want to step in front of CMU. Of course, it's a run-heavy option offense. Matt Drinkle was on the Army staff under Munkin, so he's bringing that same kind of offensive philosophy here. It's all about, can the opponent stop the run? And I don't know if I can say that about Kent State. Kent State's allowing 181 per game on the ground, rushing yards per game allowed, 4.6 yards per carry. Not exactly a strong candidate, Kent State, to stop the run. And that's why I could probably see Central Michigan having their share of success here, moving the football. They are another team that's right there at 4-2 in conference play. The door is still open for Central Michigan for being in the MAC championship game out of one of those 4-2 teams. So we'll see. It's a big game for them. They got to step up. Kent State, they look like they were, I don't want to say putting things together, but, Bowling Green, they won outright as a dog, although, Bowling Green has had quarterback issues. They were competitive in a loss at Ball State. They beat Akron outright as an underdog, 42-35 last week. It was a good performance from Drew DeShields, the quarterback in that game. And as far as, running the football is concerned, like I said, very, very as an improvement for sure for the Kent State offense in that win against Akron. So I think Central's going to run it on Kent. Can Kent score on offense? Well, the last couple games we have seen Kent, improve a little bit on offense, 42-24 in a couple of these recent games. So I'm kind of leaning over here with where this total is. It's been actually a high-scoring series, but a lot of those games were a long time ago. But, this total 47.5, even with the slow pace and the run-heavy offense, I don't think Kent's going to slow down Central. If Kent can do anything on offense, I think this game's got a chance to go over. Again, Central lean, but again, -8, I'm probably not going to get involved. Put it this way, I'd rather have the Central team total if I'm going to back the Chippewas here, because I do think they will run it on Kent State. Kent State has not done a good job stopping the run this season. C-Mac, what do you think here? Central Michigan, Kent State.
Yeah, I think it's all success with that, because both these teams are slow. Shit. Then just want to run the football. But can there be some big plays? Man, I don't know if I get there with Kent State. Like last week, I thought was a lot better spot. This offense is still not very good, and this defense gives up, a ton. You've been talking about 128th overall, 450 a game. And I got to hit that too, because looking through their numbers as well, they were like third down percentage. This team's dead last in college football, Kent State. And that's how bad they've been. But they play Oklahoma. We talked about a little bit that last week. 3 big-time schools, Texas Tech. And I think it's kind of skewed the numbers. So you kind of got to always look at that a little bit. So I don't know if they're that bad. But Central Michigan playing well. They should be have no problem running the ball here on Kent State. I think it's a little – they could dominate, cover this number. But I don't really want them on the road here. They lost at Akron. They beat Bowling Green. We talked about their struggles. Of course, a tough game against Western Michigan. We hit it all the time here, Bano, how these MAC teams are dog shit on the road and a lot better at home. So look out here. This one for as of now, I'm off on a Monday morning. I'm going to have to really, really think about this one next day or two. Yeah.
All right, Thursday night, we've got Sunbelt action. Louisiana, Ragin' Cajuns, Arkansas State, Red Wolves. We've got Arkansas State 3-point home favorites, 54.5 the total here in this game. Both teams off a bye week, so there's no advantage there either way. Both teams obviously did not play since last week, so we'll see how this plays out. Arkansas State 5-0 against the spread their last 5 games entering this one, so they've been a bit of a point spread machine of late. 4-1 straight up, 5-0 against the spread. Their defense has suddenly started to pick it up. Obviously Butch Jones has been here for a long time, head coach of this team, and throughout most of his tenure, they've had a lousy defense. But slowly but surely, they're starting to play a little bit better. Now, they did struggle with Southern Miss a little bit, but that's a pretty good offense. That was also a game Braxton got injured, the quarterback for Southern Miss. But we'll see how they fare here against the Cajuns. The Cajuns.
5 interceptions in that game.
Yes. Yep.
They probably could have won it. That was sickening.
Yeah, Rayner had 4 interceptions, and then on
Flowers,
a trick play,
yeah.
Flowers came in and he threw a pick. So, like I said, 5 interceptions. Yeah, we're still only down by 6. Louisiana, they're a team that they made a quarterback change several weeks ago, and their offense is a lot better with the man named Lunch Winfield, the quarterback here for Louisiana. He can run. He's not bad throwing the football. Still a work in progress as far as down-to-down accuracy throwing the ball, but there's no doubt he's got athleticism, and he has given this Louisiana Ragin' Cajuns offense a spark. And, they've been putting up points in bunches now, 23, and then they got better. And then the last 2 games with Winfield, 31 against South Alabama, 42 against Texas State. So this quarterback change has really done a lot of good for the Cajuns offense. So my first lean is over here in this game. I agree with Ross Pitts in that regard. Here's the thing with Arkansas State. I've backed them a few times. I think Connor Mack's been on them a few times as well. They're 4-1 straight up, 5-0 against the spread. I don't know if I love the bye week for them. When you're rolling and you're playing great football and you're, 5 straight covers, you won 4 of those 5 games, and then you have the bye. Sometimes the bye can hurt your momentum, hurt your rhythm. And now we've got Arkansas State. A lot of these games, too, they've been catching points. Now they're laying points, laying a field goal. This is one of those games where if it was pick 'em, maybe I like Arkansas State. But this number now at 3, +3 or better, I lean Louisiana. I like what I'm seeing from them. with Winfield at the quarterback spot now. So it's a lean to Louisiana, +3 or better. I like the over. I think I like the total even more. C-Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, the defense has looked better for Arkansas State, and this is a team that I want to back at home. But you mentioned it as a favorite. It's just something don't smell right, and it's going to be tough for me. But more than 3 here, I kind of like Louisiana. This team, like you mentioned, struggled. And yeah,
5 of the last 6 as well.
They've had their number too. Good old my favorite Raging Cajuns. But you talked about the quarterback play of our guy Lunch Winfield. How high do you have to be to name your son Lunch?
I know.
Like, I mean, what?
I'm not even going to get into that.
Okay, I was just thinking. I'm like, when I've seen him the last few games, I'm like,
yeah.
Wow, we're in Lunch. He came out. He came out born Lunch. Let's name him Lunch.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, I'd like to meet his parents. That's for sure.
No, apparently, I'm just seeing it now. Apparently, it's a nickname, and it was given.
Oh, okay. Why is it on his thing though? Like on his.
It's apparently a hunger for success, and because of that.
Holy shit! Oh my god. Okay, so his parents did the name of that. Yeah, because when you go on every site, like that's his name. Like he's like changed it legally or something.
Yeah. He's actually, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank God. Maybe his parents. I take it back to his parents. Maybe he had like a dorky name. But he's been playing well. I mean, I think they're the team to back here.
He's been eating defenses for lunch lately. See what I did there? Yeah.
He has been. And, yeah, I think they can hang in this game. I just don't want Arkansas State as a favorite, in this spot, even though I do like them better at home. This seems like this game will be close, or Louisiana's in this one.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. I'm interested in the Cajuns at 3 or better.
And
that'll probably
as good as Arkansas State's defense has looked better after being dreadful, Louisiana is still kind of the better defense, I think. Maybe not by a wide margin. Both teams should be able to move the football.
Yeah.
Does this game just go over? Arkansas State on a crazy underrun a little bit, this year.
Based on where the number is, I think the over's worth a look because we've seen 55, 56, 74, and 54 in the last 4 meetings. And either 3 of them have gone over this number. So I think that's why the number looks a little light. I'm more used to seeing Arkansas State in the high 50s and the 60s. That's why I think we're getting a bit of a discount.
Well, yeah, and that's why their games have gone under.
Yeah.
Like even a 60, they have a 34-24 stays under, and that's why they've gone under 7 in a row or something like that.
Yep.
Something crazy. Yeah.
But again, much like the bye week, I talked about how it might hurt their momentum with their winning. Might hurt them under momentum because you're right, they're on a crazy under streak, but maybe that now comes to an end too with the bye week here. So, and I like the 2 offenses, I do, so that's why I still like over in that game. All right, let's go to Florida State, NC State, Friday night ACC action. This is probably your that ESPN crew. They seem to be doing all these ACC games now on Friday. Andre Ware, that's who it is. Andre Ware on a Friday night on ESPN with Anish Shroff, who does the Panthers radio for the NFL as well. We've got Florida State 4.5, 5-point road favorites, 61.5 the total in this game. I mean, NC State is a lot of Jekyll and Hyde in their season to this point. I mean, 5-5 is but someone's going bowling after this game, by the way. Bowl eligibility for whoever wins this game. Both teams are at 5-5 on the season. Florida State with a 34-14 win against Virginia Tech. NC State I thought their offense would do better than that against Miami, but nope, it was a struggle for CJ Bailey. Big time.
We talked about it a little bit. I was worried with them. Yeah.
41-7. Defense still struggled, which is not surprising. NC State's had issues on that side of the ball all year. When it comes to Florida State, can they run the football here? They should. That being said, the worst part of the NC State defense by far is their secondary. Like, their secondary is abysmal. Can Tom Castellanos here take advantage of that? And we know that's where he's not nearly as effective. And accuracy, and sometimes hitting those open receivers can be a problem for him, because I'd be trying to throw the football more here just because of how bad the NC State secondary is. At least their run defense, while it isn't great, it's a little below average, but it's not terrible, and it's certainly better than their pass defense. So be interested to see how Florida State chooses to move the football. Meanwhile, you've got NC State. The one thing I'll say about NC State is this is a Friday night home game. At home this year, they beat East Carolina. They beat Virginia 35-31 at home. They did have a loss to Virginia Tech, but only by 2. And then they beat Georgia Tech as a big upset against Georgia Tech in their last home game as 5.5-point dogs. They've shown up for home games, and I don't fully trust Florida State in this spot, coming off a satisfying 20-point home win. So I'm definitely leaning Wolfpack here. Concerned about, obviously, what we saw from their defense is obviously the big concern. Can CJ Bailey and the Florida and the NC State offense kind of get back on track this week offensively? That's going to be the question. And I'll say this about the NC State offense. It's been a little weaker, the Florida State defense against the pass, and Bailey can throw the football. So I think there could be a window for NC State to maybe make some things happen offensively here in this game to allow them to compete in this game. So NC State plus 4.5. I've got that circled right now. C-Mac, what do you think?
Shout out to the chat, everyone. You're a guy Gorky at the top. He likes BYU, Oregon, Georgia Tech, Oklahoma. We're going to get to those games. I kind of like BYU as well, even on the road.
I'm not too happy. We'll get to that. I'm not too happy with Cincinnati. I was livid with the way they played. Horrible, man. Terrible. In that spot to play like that, yeah.
Yeah, against Arizona. I mean, that game was a total sale. I just thought, we've hit on. I think they're a little bit
bad coaching.
Frauds.
Satterfield again. Just when I'm starting to sing his praises, well, they've had a nice little season here. You come out of the bye and play like that. That's coaching's a big part of that. Not down on Satterfield again after that. But anyway, back to this.
This scares the shit out of me. This is like NC State or nothing, right? This Florida State team's 0-3 on the road.
That's another thing, too. They haven't traveled well. Excellent point. Yep.
When you have a fucking defense as bad as this NC State team, especially against the pass, where there's basically dead last or almost at 133, 300 yards a game, they better get something going. They better have maybe had some turnovers or to help them out. I mean, we saw them at home 2 weeks ago, beat Georgia Tech. It's like they're not going to win a low-scoring game, right? Like, it seems like both teams should be able to move the football here. So I know this total's high, but I'll lean over. NC State always at home is where you back them, even with their better teams. The last few years with the better defense. And it's been tough for Florida State to go in there traditionally. It's just not easy at all. So I don't know what to make out. Florida State played a lot better second half, I thought, last week. Kind of pulled away against Virginia Tech. We'll get to them. I don't even know if we're going to get to them. Whatever. They're horrible. But, yeah, this one's tough. I might have to hold the nose with NC State, but right as of now, it's a wait for me.
All right, next up, as we continue on, this is the other game on Friday night in the Mountain West, right in Connor's backyard in Las Vegas, Hawaii, UNLV. UNLV 3-point home favorite, 64.5 the total. I watch a lot of the Hawaii late games, football, Saturday night at midnight Eastern. I've even watched some of the Hawaii basketball last week, and it's always the Spectrum Sports Hawaii crew. Kanoa Leahy does the play-by-play of all that Hawaii games, basketball and football. And I always marvel at the fact that, have I been pronouncing it wrong all these years? I always just say Hawaii, and they say Hawaii every time I hear it on the Hawaii broadcast. I hear Hawaii. They really stress the Hawaii. And I'm just saying Hawaii, and I'm hearing them say Hawaii. Yeah. And it's everybody on the island, so it makes me think I'm just doing it wrong, saying it wrong after all these years. But I've been going with Hawaii, and I still am. I'm going with Hawaii in this game from a betting standpoint. Give me Hawaii here, +3. I love the way Timmy Chang's group is playing. This is just as much I'm impressed with Hawaii, and I flat out do not trust UNLV right now. You got Hawaii coming off the 38-6 beatdown against San Diego State. That was their 4th win in 5 games. They won double digits against Colorado State, Utah State, won by 9 against Air Force. Their offense has been humming, 31 plus points during in this 5 consecutive games. They've scored at least 31 points. What I also like for Hawaii here is they're off a bye week, extra time to prepare. And normally you'd be worried Hawaii going to the mainland here and traveling, which is often a spot you don't want them. But off the bye week, that should mitigate the concern we have with Hawaii traveling here to Las Vegas for this game. Meanwhile, you look on the other side with UNLV, and this is just a team that I know they beat Utah State 29-26, but man, they pulled that one out of the fire. They were trailing most of that game. They beat down a bad Colorado State team, but you look at them in this home favorites role in Mountain West play, Air Force, 3-point win, non-cover, New Mexico, outright loss as a 4.5-point home favorite at the home of the Raiders there. And then the Utah State game where they didn't cover last week. They won, but they didn't cover. And Hawaii's coming in here with an offense and Micah Alahado and company really rolling, playing great football. He's been terrific. They're even starting to have some better success running the football a little bit as well. They've got an outstanding receiver in Jackson Harris with a huge game for Hawaii before the bye week. So I think Hawaii is very live in this game. They're playing really good football. We don't like the UNLV defense. We've talked about that over and over again. This has been a really rough season for Dan Mullen's defense, first year at the helm with this Rebels team. So I think Hawaii can win this game, but I'll gladly take 3. I'm even seeing a couple 3.5s. There are some. FanDuel has 3.5 right now with Hawaii. A couple of places have 3.5s showing up. So +3, I like Hawaii. Total's pretty high, but there's no way I'm betting a UNLV game under, even though there's a high total at 64.5. Maybe a Hawaii team total over as well, because I think they'll move the ball on this UNLV defense. C-Mac, what do you think here, Hawaii, UNLV?
They will. By the way, that game too, Utah State, it would have gone over. I mean, both 2 of 5 for field goals, and I think UNLV was 3 of 5.
There was a couple
or it might be
down gambles too that didn't pay off the red zone.
Yeah.
Yep.
So and a little bit longer drive.
Yes.
A lot of points watching that game this weekend. But Utah State gets the cover we talked about.
Yeah, you mentioned that. You liked Utah State in that game. Good call.
Yeah.
The members show. That's why it pays to watch the members only shows and be a member, because he mentioned that on the Friday show. Utah State. Yep.
I think I want the better defense. It's Hawaii with the points as much as UNLV. This has been a tough spot a little bit traditionally, which is strange, Papano, because here in Vegas, where I live, this is the 9th island. Hawaiian and Samoan friends here. I've been to a few of these games back at Sam Boyd Stadium, not at Allegiant yet, but yeah, I mean, it's a full party to tailgate. It's a bunch of fun. But I don't know how Hawaii doesn't have plenty of success throwing the ball. They're a team that doesn't run it well, because UNLV's dog shit against the run too. They gave 185 on the ground. I don't know how they get stops, really. And I don't know. UNLV, I think, will move the ball too, but I think Hawaii is just a little bit better. This one, a big game here. That when you have that bad a defense, you just can't lay points with them. I don't give a shit. That's Cappy 101 for me, right there. I'm sure people have heard that before. Horrible defense, dead last. You lay points. You ain't finding me on that side. Period.
No, we're in agreement here. Hawaii and only the over if we were to bet the total in this game. And I will say this: we're crapping on the UNLV defense, and rightfully so. Let's give them some praise and positives too for the offense, and especially for Anthony Calandria, the Virginia transfer.
I know
he's had a good season.
He has
touchdowns, 6 interceptions, almost 70% completions. He's played well.
Well, I think his day is due for a couple of bad ones. I've seen this guy play a long time this weekend, but he has played well. You got to give it to him. And UNLV, in that game, they hung around. We talked about the missed field goal, some of the stuff, but the defense, has at times made enough plays. And we talk about how, and they've got turnovers again. They're not as high as early in the year or last year, but where they were just it seemed like the ball was just squirting out everywhere. They were recovering, making interceptions to help out that. So that runs dry. I think a little bit of that, turnovers and luck.
I think, yeah, that there's been a little luck to it. He's played well, but like I said, I like Hawaii off a bye week too. That's why I don't mind. I actually think they played better away from the island this year because they went to Air Force and they won. They beat up Colorado State on the road. They hung tough with San Jose State, only lost by 7. They were competitive. They've been much better away from home this year, Hawaii.
True. This is, Yep.
So I think I've got the trust in them to not only cover but win this game. I think they can off the bye week. You're right. Their defense is not great, Hawaii, but it's better than UNLV's statistically. So like I said, I think they can get it done there. All right, Saturday, we've got Rutgers and Ohio State. Ohio State 31-point home favorites, 56.5 the total. Pass. I mean, I'm not going to belabor it. We got a lot of games. I'm scared to fade Ohio State, but at the same time, they play slow. They play methodical. It's probably going to come close to the number. A lot of these Ohio State games lately have. Now, they did get that late touchdown, and they needed it last week against UCLA to cover that number. But even then, it's right around the number for a good chunk of that game. They were, 33-point favorites. They won by 38. The Purdue game, it was right around the number, and they didn't cover. So, it's like flip a coin right now with Ohio State, whether they cover these games. Rutgers is off a bye coming into this game. I don't know if it's going to matter. Their defense has struggled all year, and I don't know if they're going to contain, this great Ohio State offense. Julian Sayin, is having a great understated year, high completion rate, not making many mistakes. And, of course, we know with Jeremiah Smith and company, throwing the football to them, it's been pretty impressive what we've seen. So I do worry about that Rutgers defense holding up against that good offense. But 31, you're not getting a bargain. It's going to be close to the number probably. So not a game I'm likely to bet. CMAC, what do you think here? Rutgers, Ohio State.
Yeah, this is like the easiest. I don't know how Rutgers stops them. I just don't know how this shitty defense.
And I don't know how Kaliakmanis moves the ball consistently. Like, I know he's been good at times, but this is that defense in that stadium.
That stadium, like, it's kind of a foot. It's Ohio State, I think, probably gets their team total. Might not, they're not running away with it. But this offense has been efficient. They kind of sit down. They've been winning easily, Ohio State. And the defense, is really good. I mean, I don't know how Rutgers gets their team total.
There's a chance he's missed 2 games, too. There's a chance Carnell Tate's back, one of the better receivers, too, for Ohio State. So keep an eye on that. He's missed the last couple of games.
Just more Ohio State rolls, I think. And then they're at Michigan, which could always go. It doesn't even bother them. I mean, there's going to be the 1 seed they win. If they lose, they'll still be in the playoff and probably favored as a, whatever they be, 6 or, you know what I mean?
Yep. No doubt. Yeah. So like I said, it's just the one concern I would have with laying it with Ohio State. I'm not betting the game, so I'm just saying it. But if you're thinking about it, they do have the Michigan game next week. Is that a look ahead? I don't know. But like I said, I don't trust Rutgers on either side of the football to take them. So it's a clear stay away from me. All right, Oklahoma State, UCF. We've got UCF 14.5-point home favorites, 48.5 being the total here in this game. When you look at UCF, boy, they've kind of gone downhill, kind of gone south again here these last few games. We'll see if certainly they can rebound. That was obviously, Lambs being led to slaughter, I guess you could say, for UCF last week against Texas Tech. And you could tell they were just totally overmatched in that game against the Red Raiders. You could tell right away it was going to be an ugly day because I think Texas Tech, bang, bang, before you could blink and get comfortable in your seat there, it was 14-0 Texas Tech right away. So we'll see if they can bounce back. 48-9 annihilation. This is a team that's not playing well right now, UCF. 1-6 in their last 7 games. The only win was against West Virginia at home, but they lose to Kansas State by double digits. Kansas, Cincinnati, Baylor, Houston, Texas Tech. This is not a team I'm comfortable laying more than 2 touchdowns with, which you have to do here in this game against Oklahoma State. And Oklahoma State, look, miserable year. They certainly haven't backed them much. But last 2 games against Kansas, 24.5-point dogs on the road. They lost by 17. Finally saw a little glimmer of offense from them in that game from Zane Flores and this struggling offense. They at least moved the ball a bit. And then last week against Kansas State off the bye week, it was probably one of their better defensive efforts in that game.
Yeah.
I mean, they made it tough on Avery Johnson. They even did a good job against Joe Jackson and the K-State run game to keep them in it. And Flores did have 233 through the air. Now he had 2 interceptions, or else,
of course he did.
Of course he did. But the point is, he moved the football, just made mistakes at critical times. Otherwise, they could have won that game. Like, Oklahoma State was really right there with Kansas State for much of that. So, but here's the thing. That was a home game for Oklahoma State off a bye week. Are you going to, for a team that's had a really tough year, are you going to get that same effort, energy, focus from Oklahoma State now going on the road for this game? If you do get that, and this is where I kind of want to see what I'm reading from the Cowboys camp going into this game. If they're excited and it seems like, hey, focused, we want to quotes that they want to finish the season strong, I'd be tempted to take the points here, believe it or not, with Oklahoma State. If I find out they're, kind of into it, and because that's 2 straight covers, now they got to go on the road, that's the concern. But they definitely have shown some life here late in the season, and what's been a dismal season. They got rid of Gundy. It's been just a tumultuous season for Oklahoma State football, but they've shown some life. I'm tempted to take the points. I'm sure as hell not laying 14.5 with UCF. That much I can tell you. C-Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't know what to make of these last couple covers. Like, this has looked a little bit better. The offense, and then in that low-scoring game against K-State, I just don't love the spot. I think this is a good spot for UCF. It's just, of course, taxed here with this number. Like, they should be able to run the ball all over Oklahoma State. At least the Oklahoma State team that's been all year, that's been the shits here at home. So, because, early on it was just, I haven't done it the last 3-4 weeks, first half team total. But this seems like UCF could get theirs. This has got to be under 3 touchdowns, right? This team total first half?
Team total first half for UCF is 16.5.
I might be on that.
Might be on that, yeah.
I think this might be a good spot. Their last home game, just the craziness of that Houston game, and they go on the road. That was one of the big things I didn't bet. Either it was Texas Tech's team total over, or I thought UCF's team total under, because I thought they're not going to score against this Texas Tech defense, and it was.
I will say this for UCF:
rough.
Their last home game was against Houston on that Friday night. They should have won that game.
That's what I mean.
And they scored 24 points in the first half. So if they bring that kind of offense, and Taven Jackson, I still think he's the best quarterback they have.
He's got to play.
Roster, but didn't have a great game last week. But then again, it was Texas Tech's defense. So maybe they do open it up early. We'll see.
Yeah, I might be on that just because of the spot after the ass kicking. But the only thing is a little bit like, is Oklahoma State, is this defense improved? What do you I don't know what do you take from at least the last couple of games, but they covered as big dogs. What they're catching 20 and 24 or something like that in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. All right, next up, we've got Delaware and Wake Forest. Wake Forest, 17.5-point home favorites, 52.5 the total. It's a lot of points, and this is now kind of a roll. I'm interested in Delaware. My one concern is, man, that Wake defense is nasty. It's really, really good. It's really, really good. And is Minicucci, the quarterback for Delaware, going to be able to navigate it? That's going to be the big question. The one thing they've got working in their favor, Delaware, is that Wake's defense, it's actually been very good against the pass, too. They've been excellent against the run, but, again, Delaware doesn't run it a ton. I don't know if they're going to have a ton of success throwing it either. It's just for Wake Forest, after beating North Carolina, dominate, and look, their defense is something else. I mean, I don't know. I still don't know how they gave up 42 points to Florida State. Crazy. I was on them, but that's probably why. But nevertheless, since then, they've given up 21 points, 2 games combined against North Carolina, Virginia. They shut down SMU as well so their defense, other than that one Florida State game, their defense is good. But this is not a great spot for Wake. I mean, they're now playing a non-conference opponent. They've got Duke, big-time game next week on their schedule. I'm tempted, spot-wise alone, I'm tempted to take the 17.5 here with Delaware in this game. But I am concerned about how that offense throws the ball on this Wake defense. C-Mac, what do you think?
I think I might have to be off. I'm tempted too with Delaware. I just
big number, obvious, spot in between 2 big conference games and a non-conference opponent. It's a obvious Delaware spot. That's for sure.
Can they have success, though? I mean, Delaware just lost, right? Sam Houston.
Yes, they did. That's a bad loss, too. 12-point favorites. They lost 26-23 as favorite. But they've been good as dogs. Well, Liberty game, was the exception. And their defense has really been struggling lately, Delaware. But can Wake Forest score enough and move the football enough with Mr. Robbie Ashford and company to be able to cover numbers?
Yeah.
I know their defense is going to play well, but again, sometimes you worry about whether they score enough against anybody to cover this kind of. This is the most points Wake Forest has been laying since the game against Western Carolina. Don't forget they played Kennesaw State, which is also a Conference USA team. First game of the year, they were 18-point home favorites. They won by 1 point. So,
yeah, Delaware. The big home spot was them finally at home as dogs against La Tech.
Yeah.
Like on a big game.
That was the one.
There. They've just been laying points. This team's been horrible on the road. I mean, this team sucks. 1-4. I mean, yeah, this one's tough. I'd like to be on Delaware. It's just when I've seen this team so much, the defense and the offense.
This might be a game.
Did they even register passing yards after sacks? I don't think so in the box score.
No.
Delaware did.
Right. It might be one to split it up. Don't put it all full game because they could, run out of gas, and Wake Forest, wakes up later in the game and maybe blows them out and forces turnovers and, it gets away from Delaware. But maybe first quarter, first half, that's when Wake will be at their sleepiest, early in this game. Maybe look in that direction if you're going to back Delaware. All right, BYU, Cincinnati. BYU 2-point road favorites, 54.5 the total. To come out of the bye after getting your ass kicked by Utah and play like that last week against Arizona, it was stunning how bad it was. Sorsby didn't look right. That was one of the most poor games he's played all year, and the defense couldn't stop anything. Arizona up and down the field, especially in the second half. I mean, Arizona just did whatever they wanted offensively, and Noah Fafita looked like freaking Joe Montana out there throwing the ball all over that Cincinnati Bearcats defense. So very disappointed. There's no way I'm coming back to Cincinnati now against a BYU. And credit to BYU, and you got to give Kalani Sitake mushrooms, a lot of credit here. And that BYU team, after that first loss against Texas Tech, to come back and just stomp TCU like that at home. Great bounce back performance from BYU. I was worried mentally, where would they be? Well, they're fine mentally because they came right back and they dominated TCU start to finish. Yeah, I lean BYU here. I think they got back on the beam. They're still playing for, being in that Big 12 championship game, which is still a possibility. Yeah, lean BYU. They just might be the better team. C-Mac, what do you think?
Yeah. I'm shocked this isn't higher a little bit, that this isn't over a field goal. I mean, I think they think Cincinnati plays better because how bad they were. You talked about Sorsby, just looked off. And the defense, which I didn't think was very good, it's just kind of got shredded at Utah. BYU's just found ways to win, on the road this year. And they just dominate TCU at home. Bachmeier was great. The defense was great. This team does kind of the little things. The special team's good. The turnover margin's great. And it's like, this seems like a fucking slam dunk, right? It always gives me a little bit pause, but I don't know if Cincinnati's the team here. Finally they lose at home. You got to think they play better, but is it enough? I think BYU's just bigger, better. And you mentioned the one loss, so they should be focused here, even on the road, BYU, Yeah,
it's BYU or pass for me. All right, Tennessee, Florida. We've got Tennessee 3.5-point road favorites, 57 the total here in this game. The Florida Gators. So 2 weeks ago, they played Kentucky. They were coming off the game against Georgia, and I was worried, right? Like, they gave it their all, that coaching, the first game after they fired Billy Napier. Georgia was the team they played, and they gave it an all-out effort. And I was worried they would fall flat against Kentucky, and they did. And it was a complete no-show. Like, they didn't even look like they wanted to be out there on the football field. They played poorly, and they played uninspired in getting just absolutely destroyed by Kentucky, 38-7. But credit to them, they played their guts out against Ole Miss.
I
last
know.
week.
Talked about it, yeah.
Gave them a battle, and all of a sudden they look like they were mentally checked in again. Lagway played a little bit of a better game. The defense still struggled, but offensively, they put up over 300 yards. The big issue was, Ole Miss got the run game going. I mean, what a game it was for Keywan Lacey. 224 on the ground for Ole Miss. The Trinidad Chambliss, outstanding throwing the ball. I mean, that's the problem with Florida. When they face any sort of offense with a pulse right now, they're getting shredded repeatedly. I mean, the Georgia game was a little bit better, but gosh, these last 2 weeks, Kentucky and Ole Miss, this team has really had issues defensively, big issues. And I don't think it's going to get much easier or better against obviously a very potent Tennessee offense. The up-tempo, very fast-paced offense under Josh Heupel with Joey Aguilar at quarterback. Florida probably will struggle, but it is a home game for Florida. And I still don't love this Tennessee defense. Okay, you shut down New Mexico State at home last
Shit,
week.
they still cover.
Yeah.
New Mexico State.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it was only a 42-9, yeah.
Close to covering that number. Okay, they shut down New Mexico State. In SEC play, Tennessee's been giving up points, and it doesn't matter who they played. Even Mississippi State put up a lot of points against Tennessee. So I think at home, DJ Lagway and company, Jordan Baugh on the ground, they can move the football here too on this Tennessee team. So for me, this right now is an over. Jaden Baugh, I should say, can move the football on the ground as well. This for me early in the week, rather than betting aside here in this game, this is an over for me. I think it goes over 57. C-Mac, what do you think? Tennessee, Florida.
I think so too. I'll touch it on the total. I think there is some points in this game, and it could get there. Weather's pretty good here. Double check. Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I just thought
weather's good.
That's supposed to be. I think I was going to say I don't have my little weather indicator up on my screen here. We'll change that right now because that's usually I will mention that, but I think it's going to be fine at the moment.
Yeah, I think it's good.
No problem. No wind, no rain.
Yeah, 3 straight losses. It's Florida. I'm on Florida. I'm on Florida.
I do lean that way because it's like you got to play Fraser Crane, that great sitcom in the 90s, Kelsey Grammer, one of the great characters in sitcom history. Cheers, and then he had the spinoff there, Fraser, playing that character. It's like you got to be a psychiatrist. You got to get in the heads of Florida. What are the games they care about? What are the games they're going to go up? And to me, a home game against Tennessee, this is an old SEC East rivalry that goes back decades. I think you show up for this. And if they do, I think they'll show up offense. I don't like their defense at all, and I think they're going to get ripped by Tennessee, but their offense, I think, will show up. That's why I like the over. But you're right, at 3.5, I'm with you. I lean Florida as well.
There's one. Lagway scares the shit out of me. Let's be honest. So this bet, but they kind of, beat up on Tennessee. It's gone back, but Tennessee's got them, the last few years. But the games are always so good when it's Tennessee, Florida. It just seems they get up for it, like you talked about. And in the swamp, I got to take them. Lagway, just do your job. I mean, he made a couple unbelievable throws, and then you watch it, I'm like, what is he doing? Is this the same guy?
Yep.
You see, I baffles my mind, DJ Lagway. This Florida for me.
Yeah, this total's 57. I'm just seeing something right now with Tennessee. Do you know the points that have been scored in their SEC games? Mississippi State game, 75. Arkansas game, 65. Alabama game, 57. Kentucky game, 90. Oklahoma game, 60. So everything's been 57 plus total points in Tennessee SEC games this year. That's why this total looks a little light to me.
Why is it not 61? Yeah. 60. Does Florida's defense play better, or is this I know I'm shocked it's not higher as well.
Yeah, that's why I like it. You can only play the numbers.
Take it back, yeah.
You don't want to drive yourself crazy and overthink it. If you think the number's too low, then bet it over, and that's what I've done there. All right, Washington State, James Madison. James Madison, 13.5-point favorites, 42. There's a real possibility James Madison is your group of 5 playoff participant this year. They absolutely could be. They're right in that discussion. It's them, maybe North Texas, still very much in the discussion too. But that's who it's going to be. It's probably going to be one of those 2 teams right now. And JMU is just curb stomping teams right now. And they are certainly playing with the incentive to run up the score and build a margin. Look what they did to App State. They didn't stop scoring. That's also why I like the over in James Madison games right now. That's twice now in a row. They've punched in a late touchdown when they didn't have to. They did it against Marshall, and they did it last week against App State as well, when they already had the game well in hand. So beware with the totals right now with James Madison betting unders, because they want margin. They're looking for some style points when they can get it, and they have not hesitated to do that. Bob Chesney's done a great job. Bob Chesney's going to be somewhere else pretty soon. I don't know about next year. It's possible next year he's somewhere else, but there's no doubt that he's going to get a Power 4 gig as a head coach at some point. There's no doubt, just like his predecessor, Kurt Signetti, did when he left James Madison for Indiana. And look how well that's going for him. James Madison's just a team I do not have any interest stepping in front of right now. None whatsoever. Now, they're laying a lot of points. Washington State's a pretty solid team who have certainly gotten better offensively since Zevi Eckhouse took over at quarterback for them. His participation at quarterback and taking over that spot has really helped. And they were dominant last week in a win against Louisiana Tech in a non-conference game. But before you give Washington State too much credit for that, Louisiana Tech was off that just gut-wrenching loss to Delaware, and then they had to go down to Ruston, go all the way out to Pullman, Washington. That is a very tough travel to get from fucking Ruston, Louisiana to Pullman, Washington, and you could tell that they had nothing in the tank, Louisiana Tech. So don't give Washington State too much credit for that win. Now Washington State's got to make the tough travel. Pullman, Washington, all the way down to the southeast here, the Virginia area, to take on James Madison. So I just have zero interest fading the Dukes right now. So it's Dukes or pass, it's over or pass for me in this game. Now the total's been bet down 45-42. I'm seeing 30% chance of rain in Harrisonburg, Virginia, home of James Madison, but that's not a big percentage chance of rain. And I'm only seeing 6-mile-per-hour winds. I don't see weather being an issue. So like I said, beware with the unders because James Madison's looking for margin right now. C-Mac, what do you think?
James Madison rolling, slapping these teams. Texas State, Marshall, App State. The one thing in this game when I was going through it is they're going to have success, I think, running the football. Now is going to be a ton. This Washington State team has improved really, really well defensively. James Madison has good defense. That's why we see this total.
That's why
where it's at. Yeah. Where it's and Washington State
in the 40s for sure, because these are defenses we should respect, no doubt. And Washington State's gotten better. But I'm just saying conceptually, I have a hard time betting unders with James Madison because they're looking for those late scores right now and to build margin and get style points because they're just trying to make their playoff resume as strong as they possibly can.
Yeah, but good for them. I don't fucking believe in the fairy tale. Give me Washington State here. I think this team, after getting drilled by North Texas early in the year, has gone on the road. Watching them, I was shocked.
That's watching them
like at Ole Miss,
and they beat those teams on the road nearly. Yep.
Yeah, very close games. Like this is what seems like the games to be played in the low 20s, maybe here. And the offense it's not great. I mean, it's shown even the last few weeks in some of these games with Washington State. And the travel isn't great here. I just think James Madison, all the beatdowns lately has juiced this number a little bit too much. Like to me, this is like a 10. I thought the line should have been. So give me Washington State here. Give me the 2 touchdowns.
Everything you said's valid. You're not getting a bargain on JMU now. And Washington State's cupcake. They're not a terrible football team at all. We saw what they did against Virginia and Ole Miss. Defense is playing better. Eckhouse is a good enough quarterback. So, yeah, I mean, Washington State could have the chops there to keep that within 2 scores. All right, Pitt and Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech, 2.5-point home favorites, 42 the total. I think Pitt shot their load against Notre Dame. I think that put everything in. Narduzzi's going to make you think otherwise because he made it sound like we don't give a crap about Notre Dame.
That's bullshit. That's the biggest bullshit I've ever heard.
Game day's there at Pitt. Big ABC game. Tessitore screaming his head off like normal, and that's not a big time game for you at all. I don't don't buy that for a second. I like Georgia Tech here anyway. Better team, run game, defense is good, and Notre Dame's defense has really come on strong. But I think maybe Mason Heinschel, the book now, remember this guy came straight out of high school to start at quarterback here for Pitt. Now the book out on him a bit. Maybe teams are going to start to figure him out a little bit. Notre Dame certainly did. My goodness, he couldn't do anything throwing the football against them last week. And by the way, what I like about Georgia Tech in this spot, not only do I think they're the better team, better coach, they're going to win. Brent Key sounded like a team coach of a team that lost after that game against Boston College last week. He was pissed. He was livid about his team's performance, especially on the defensive side of the football. He said it in the interview. We got to wake up from this. Credit to our guys. They didn't quit. Haynes King, led him back. But that he talked like that team lost that game against Boston College. That's how upset he was by the performance, especially on defense. So maybe a wake-up call for Georgia Tech, and they play better and buttoned up here against Pitt. So I like Georgia Tech. C-Mac, what do you think?
I don't know here. I don't know with Georgia Tech. This seems so short and too sweet, too easy under the field goal. I don't like how this defense has been playing.
No, it's trending down. Yep.
And they get it, can come back to win that game. Now they're at home. They're 9-1. But I think this is a pretty good football game that traditionally usually is. Pitt, Georgia Tech. And Pitt just ran it. Notre Dame. Notre Dame is rolling. Shout out to everyone in Notre Dame. I stayed off Pitt. I wanted to take him. Yeah. So when I go through these games again, man, I'm like, you got to through all again. And I'm like, I got to stay off. I just can't do it. And I'm glad I did. As much as games I want to bet, sometimes it's better to stay off than losing money. But yeah, I don't know if I get here. I think this is trappy here a little bit. This number, these defenses. I think Pitt, as the year has gone on, but I still don't trust their defense. I think they've looked better at times. You know what I mean? But Georgia Tech runs it. They've been pretty good against the run. Just a good matchup here. I don't know if I get involved.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think they're going to blow them out, but you're going to give me less than a field goal. The team's 5-0 at home. Georgia Tech. Yeah.
Hey,
and
I don't blame
you. I like Key more than I like Narduzzi. That to me is the coaching advantage for
the Narduzzi.
Tech. Yeah.
Hate is revered here, hitting the books.
Yeah, it is. Not a fan. All right, next up, we've got, as we continue along here, Michigan and Maryland. Michigan 13.5-point road favorites, 45.5 the total in this game. I mean, I'll say this again. There's no chance I'm laying it with Michigan. Michigan's not a lay 13.5 with team on the road for me. Not for me. Now, the counter argument to that is, do you want to back Maryland, which is not the easiest bet to make either. I think the best bet here is don't bet the side, quite honestly, in this game between Michigan and Maryland. But, Michigan, it continues to be the Northwestern game was a perfect example of it. We should stop making players out to be the second coming when you haven't seen it, and let's see it first before we start to proclaim that. And I think I'm there with Bryce Underwood. He's just 2 interceptions, no touchdown passes. It continues to be very choppy for him leading this Michigan offense. They're now 0-3 against the spread. Their last 3 Big Ten games, failing to cover as double-digit favorites in all 3 against Michigan State, Purdue, and Northwestern. I know Maryland's coming off a shellacking against Illinois, and they've dropped 3 in a row against the number, all double-digit losses too. But I'm not laying 13.5 with Michigan. If this hits 14, I might have to take something on Maryland. C-Mac, what do you think?
I think so too. And
Ohio State's on deck for Michigan.
Yeah, there's just like we talked about. Yeah, with Ohio State, Michigan as Ohio State. I mean, they escape again. This team's been awful. This team hasn't covered 5 out of the last 6. And with Ohio State on deck, you want to lay points with them? No way. We talked a little bit about the kind of just this little bit of a tough spot. They hung around there first half for Maryland. Illinois, it was just a good spot for Illinois there at home. But I think they play better here. This Michigan team has okay defense. This offense, I don't care for. I just don't. When we talked about a lot of the year when they were better, bam, there's our guy. War Eagle, right as I say it. Maryland, where they were big, really good earlier in the year, was first half.
Yep.
So, and, even in the game last week, we talked about, they only got 2 field goals, but, and nothing in the second half. So, yeah, I love it. I like the look there.
All right, first half, says someone in our chat, and I'm leaning Maryland. Like I said, I'd prefer to have 14 or better, and we might see that because it has been money on Michigan here early in the week. All right, Duke, North Carolina. We've got Duke 6.5-point road favorites, 51.5 the total in this game. Annual rivalry game, obviously, between these two teams. I don't know what to make in North Carolina. Just when you think they're getting a little bit better and improving, and then they have that loss to Wake Forest, 28-12 last week, and the offense struggles again, and the defense kind of goes back a little bit after the improvement we had seen in the 2 games before that, where they. But again, Syracuse with no quarterback and Stanford. So maybe we overvalued those defensive improvements for Bill Belichick and his North Carolina team a little bit. Because then they played Wake, and they gave up 28 points. Wake Forest ended up having a pretty solid game on the ground, 223. They were able to run it effectively, and Robbie Ashford had a solid game, almost 200 passing yards for Wake. And then meanwhile, with Gio Lopez, it was a grind once again. No run game at all for North Carolina last week. Against Wake. But the problem is now Duke defensively is a mess right now. The coaching staff, after the UConn loss, imploring this team to play with passion and enthusiasm on defense before the Virginia game, and we didn't see any of it. Same old Duke defense that got shredded by UConn, shredded by Clemson, bailed out with the win against Clemson because the offense was so good. This is a defense that continues to give up big points. But on the flip side, North Carolina offense hasn't been able to move the football consistently all year. So who's going to win out in that matchup? One thing is, I'm just going to go back, C-Mac, to my age-old, I will not lay points of this magnitude with a bad defense. I won't do it.
Yeah.
So by default, I guess I lean North Carolina, but I'm not excited about backing either side in this spot. C-Mac, what do you think?
And what do we get? Did we get the Duke, their defense so bad, North Carolina scores, and we get a little higher scoring? Or they play better, North Carolina offense isn't great, and this game kind of is lower scoring and stays under? I think it could go either way. Looking at this total. Let's go there last night. I want a 7, but I think 6.5 is fine. Give me North Carolina here. No fucking way. I'm on Duke. I don't love that they're off the back-to-back losses a little bit and how poorly they played. But this game's huge. Come on. Duke, North Carolina. I'm not talking college basketball, baby. But
Bill Belichick doesn't want to lose to a state rival and battleground, recruiting.
Oh, yeah.
Either. Yeah, same. Yeah.
This game's tight. This game is a touchdown or less. So I'd like to have a 7 here. But I can't believe from early on in the year, give me Bill Belichick. And this is North Carolina team, which I've took once already. They covered a couple weeks ago. So, yeah, Billy B.
There we go. Hoodie, North Carolina plus 6.5 here, says C-Mac, liking that side. All right, Nebraska, Penn State. We've got Penn State 9.5-point home favorites, 44.5 the total in this game. I know I'm stubborn when it comes to and look. I thought I had I don't want to say the right side. I didn't. Michigan State screwed up at the end. But
I know what a shit show at the end though. There,
yeah, they were right there, and then they got worn down at the end of that game. Give the run game of Penn State credit. Katron Allen and Singleton started to really wear down that Michigan State defensive front, and it got them the point spread cover late in that game. But I still thought Penn State was ripe for the picking, coming off the loss to Indiana, because they certainly started the game very slowly. So maybe you look at Nebraska first half, but I do lean Nebraska here a little bit in this game. Now we're finally getting Nebraska catching points, where I don't want them laying points, but, catching points, it's a bit of a different story. They're off a bye week, and they won at UCLA before the bye week, so extra time to prepare, which is good news because TJ Lateef is going to have more of an opportunity to get comfort and chemistry with his first-team offense in practice leading up to this game, I think you can make a case for Nebraska here. Cornhuskers for me, plus the points. C-Mac, what do you think?
I think so too. I mean, it's Latif. I still have. I mean, if this guy goes 13 of 15 for whatever he did against UCLA with 3 touchdowns,
throw it a ton, but he was efficient. He didn't make.
No, he was great. That's what I'm saying. If he can do that, they're covering here. I don't trust Penn State at all. And I think Nebraska's defense is just as good. You know what I mean? Through the numbers that I've seen. One thing, could Penn State run the ball a little bit? They have gotten gashed a tad bit.
Run defense has been a worry for the Huskers. That's
a little bit,
but
yes,
kind of look past it. With the bye week, I like that. A late season bye week matters a lot. To me, a bye week is a bigger deal in November than it is in September in this sport.
Yeah, it does help out. Yeah, I agree. When I was going through this, I'm like, this number's pretty big. So yeah, I like Nebraska.
All right, next up as we continue along here, we've got Miami, Virginia Tech. Miami, 17-point road favorites, 48.5 the total. See, I took the points with NC State against Miami last week because I trusted the offense to be able to do enough to hang around. I damn sure don't trust Virginia Tech's offense.
Can they score?
Yeah.
Can they score?
Yeah.
Can drones score?
Yeah.
I know.
I don't trust them to. Now that this is Blacksburg, this is a road game for Miami. And on the road, this team, we saw them lose to SMU on the road. So the bottom line is I don't want to lay 17 with Miami on the road, but I'm very, very hesitant to take Virginia Tech because I worry about them moving the football with Drones, who doesn't, as you know, I'm not a fan of Drones. I don't think he's very good. I don't trust Virginia Tech's offense to move the football. So where does that leave me in this game? Under maybe? Because, Miami at times, Beck has looked a little out of sorts, leading the Hurricane offense on the road. Remember, they didn't light up the scoreboard against SMU in that loss a few weeks ago on the road. So maybe it stays under. But this is probably a game I'm going to not be on either side. C-Mac, what do you think here?
God. There's no way you can lay it with Miami.
No way, but it's just tough to trust Drones against this defense.
That's the biggest thing here. This offense is so bad with Virginia Tech. Now these home games, of course, it's different there. Mostly losses. They beat Cal, but 28-16, 30-23. Can they have maybe a defensive touchdown, special teams touchdown too? I think that would help out.
Yeah,
because I need Miami's defense is very good, but I don't know. I still think they're frauds. I mean, I just do. Even though I think I do like their defense a little bit. If you love Miami, I just maybe not take it this week. Or go ahead, take it. Tell me to fuck off.
All right. Here's one that I like quite a bit. Battle in the Carolinas here. Coastal Carolina, South Carolina. Battle in Kakalaki here. We've got South Carolina, 23.5-point home favorites, 53.5 being the total here in this game. Oh, I like Coastal here. How is South Carolina off that 30-3? You had Texas A&M done, dead, out, gone. See you later. And you allow 28 unanswered in the fourth quarter and find a way to spit the bit. And look, A&M's a great team, and Mike Elko's group deserves all the credit in the world for coming back and finding a way, because they could have easily said, hey, it's not our day, on to next week, but they didn't do that. They kept playing. Marcel Reed and the offense got hot, and they came all the way back from 30-3 down to stun South Carolina 31-30. Like, how does South Carolina get back off the mat from something like that for a non-conference game against Coastal? That's the question. Now, Coastal's defense is pathetic. Okay, that's the biggest.
Yeah. How does this not go over?
Yeah, that too.
I mean, yeah, I think
I like that just as much as the side. That's why I said I love this game. I love this game from a side perspective. I love this game from a totals perspective. I think it's Coastal plus the points. You could even go a step further with first quarter, first half, that maybe especially early South Carolina is flat as a pancake after that heartbreak and that just brutal loss against Texas A&M last week. But eventually that offense and Sellers and company will wake up, and when they do, they could score at will because Coastal doesn't stop anybody or anything. And meanwhile, Coastal's offense, since Samari Collier took over at the quarterback spot, it's been a different offense. 40 points is what they've been scoring routinely. Now, this is an SEC team, I get it, but Samari Collier's been a big difference maker for them, leading the offense. What's funny is last week, the offense was kind of stuck in mud at times, and Tad Hudson came in, and he actually played okay. But it had been Collier that had been the spark for this Chanticleer's offense. Either way, Coastal scheme-wise has been able, and they've had a couple quarterbacks playing in some of their recent games. They've been able to move the football, and you wonder just how deflated South Carolina's defense is. And also, they were on the field for a lot last week against A&M. Fatigue hangover from that and fatigue carrying over from that game could show up here. So I like Coastal. You could go first quarter, first half, full game, but I like Coastal plus the points in this spot, and I like this over 53.5. C-Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, South Carolina's defense, they just was playing kind of well to keep them in games, and the offense just wasn't doing enough. But it's like, if this offense has got to be able to score. I mean, we saw it in the first half against A&M, a team that some pretty good numbers. They've been pretty good this year, especially that D line and linebackers.
And this is another case where I've been riding Coastal overs. I've been on every recent Coastal.
Have you been on
over, and I'm going to keep riding it.
Yeah, I was on the Marshall one. I was not on the Georgia Southern. 45-40.
That was easy. Wow. That one.
That was a cakewalk. So I think you're getting this lower because of South Carolina. Maybe they're sleepy too, that there's not a lot of points early. If you're talking about, I think you could still creep over this. It might not be 45-40 like we just said, but they could get over.
I mean, 28 to 27 cashes, 30 to 27 cashes in this game. Like, to me, 53.5 is light for sure with this total. All right, Missouri and Oklahoma. We've got Oklahoma 9.5 point home favorites, 42.5 the total in this game. What a win for John Mateer and the Sooners last week in Tuscaloosa. Defense balled out. Ty Simpson had been immaculate protecting the football, and then he turns it over like crazy a couple of times. Pick 6 included in that game against Oklahoma. So the Sooners defense deserves just a lot of credit, for the way they played in that victory in Alabama. Now, laying 9.5 off a win like that's not always easy. Missouri did bounce back from the A&M loss to thump a very injury-depleted and ravaged Mississippi State team, 49-27. It was definitely better from Zollers, but I don't want to give him too much credit. He still only completed 8 passes. Most of it was the run game, where Ahmad Hardy had 300 rushing yards for Missouri against that Mississippi State defense. It's pretty easy to pile up points and score when your running back gets you 300 rushing yards.
Yeah.
And something tells me, and with Zollers, here's my concern with taking Missouri. He still hasn't shown me enough in the passing game. You're not getting 300 rushing yards from Ahmad Hardy in this game against an Oklahoma run defense that's giving up 82 rushing yards per game, 4th in the country, 2.5 yards per carry, 3rd in the country. Oklahoma, as far as runs, as far as yards per carry allowed on defense. So if Missouri can't run the football here on the road, is Zollers going to throw them to being competitive and staying in this game? I'm not so sure. Not with what I've seen from him. He couldn't get anything going against A&M. And yes, he did complete 8 passes, but 15 attempts. He was still barely 50% completions against a depleted Mississippi State defense. That's not a confidence booster when I see that from the quarterback. So I worry about that here. And if they can't run, and I don't think they will be able to because Oklahoma's elite with their run defense, this could be a tough day for Missouri. Maybe Missouri team total unders the look here, but that's the hesitancy for me. Yes, it's not the optimal Oklahoma spot, laying 9.5 after a big win like that, but I don't know if I trust Missouri's offense to function here in this game. C-Mac, what do you think? Missouri, Oklahoma.
Yeah, I guarantee you Hardy's not going to have 300 yards in this game. Guaranteed. He will struggle a little bit. Yeah, Zollers, I don't know what we get. It's just the flat spot here with Oklahoma. Basically, at home, winning by 10. I think they can. I think Missouri's defense is still pretty good. I know it's had some tough games. Of course, it's not easy when you got the backup quarterback, too, these last couple of weeks as well. Because early on, I thought they were pretty impressive. So, yeah, this one's tough. This is just going to be a pass for me. Oklahoma played such a good game. We talk about if they take care of the football. That D line and linebackers, I think, second in the country, 37 sacks. Just been really, really good. So secondary's played well too at times. Yeah, I just don't know if I get involved here.
All right, next up we have Charlotte and Georgia. Another SEC team playing a non-conference game this week. We've got Georgia, 45-point home favorites in this game, 54.5 the total in this game. This is going to be one of the uglier dog bets I've ever made, or certainly in recent memory, but I actually grabbed a small little piece of Charlotte here, plus 45, for one reason only. Kirby Smart, as head coach of Georgia, laying, I believe, 40 points or more. He's 0 for something against, I think it's 0-12 against the spread. It's bad. Like he
will score 42 points and shut it down.
Yeah.
It will go 42-0, and Charlotte might get a touchdown, or they'll even cover this at the number now.
Yeah.
45. I've seen it a lot. Yeah. I don't blame you.
He has not covered one single time as a 40-plus point favorite in his tenure as Georgia head coach, Kirby Smart.
What a stat there.
That's the only reason I'm taking. Like, I can't make a X's and O's on the field matchup case for Charlotte here. I can't. But we do know Georgia's off a huge win against Texas on that Saturday night. Rolling along. Everything's great right now in Georgia land. There's no reason to just beat down a team.
Georgia Tech on deck.
Georgia Tech on deck.
Huge game.
And Kirby knows they're probably already prepping for Georgia Tech, not Charlotte. Because of Georgia Tech put them through the torture chamber last year. Should have beat them. Took them to overtime. So they know they might be in for a tough game there against Georgia Tech. So, yeah, this is just pure. He hasn't covered as a 40-point favorite one time as Georgia head coach. I'm on Charlotte here, plus 45. Ugly, but we're taking it. C-Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, I get it. I mean, and I think people could be jumping back on. Georgia been covering numbers. In the course of these bigger type games, Florida, Mississippi, SEC play.
Yeah.
But after kind of a long streak where they weren't, but they just do not cover these numbers.
Just look at the early ones this year. Austin P and Marshall.
Austin P.
September. They didn't cover either one of those. Yep. 38.5-point favorite. Marshall didn't cover. 45.5-point favorite against Austin P. Didn't cover. They only won that game by 22. Beat Marshall by 38. That's not going to get it done here.
Say no more. Next game, brother. That was great.
There we go.
That's it.
Charlotte. Sometimes you got to just, again, this is the perfect example. Bet numbers, not teams. All right, next up, we've got, as we continue along here, we've got TCU Houston. Houston, 2.5-point home favorites, 54.5 the total here in this game. Houston has been a little bit all over. I don't know what happened to TCU. That was unfortunate. That was Josh Hoover. All of a sudden, a couple games where he just hasn't been playing as well. Didn't play well the game before that either. So don't really. I lean Houston here. A better defense, definitely better defense. I mean, TCU's defense at times has been okay, but I think the better defense. Sonny Dykes is okay. I think there's worse coaches than him, but I certainly like Willie Fritz more than I like Sonny Dykes. So I think below a field goal here, I like Houston here in this spot to get the job done on their home field. Again, defensive edge, in my opinion, for them going into this game. They're a winning home team, 3-2, 2-3 for TCU on the road. Houston's off a bye week too. Extra time to prepare for Fritz. They haven't played since they beat UCF a couple of weeks ago. Spot advantage. I love those late season bye weeks. I think Houston's the way to go here. C-Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, I want them too. I don't know if I get there. It seems ripe though for the picking off the bye. But when I see teams like TCU have such a bad game, like I think they could play better in, kind of a, somewhat rivalry, these two teams, both in Texas. Like, they were just shits. Talked about Hoover. I mean, they just got that ass whipped.
Yep.
Provo, Utah. Go to Provo, Utah at night. Get that ass whipped.
Bear Bogmeyer sliced that secondary. They ran the ball well, but it was really the secondary. I mean, they had Parker Kingston went on 80 yards. Carson Ryan, 79 yards. The Chase Roberts, I mean, everybody had their way. Yeah.
At TCU, they're just not a good defense. Yeah. They just aren't. So that's some of the numbers are better for them. But push comes to shove, they're mediocre. So yeah, I mean, I lean Houston here. I don't know if I get involved here.
All right, good stuff. All right, we move along. Next up on the slate here, we've got Kansas State and Utah. Utah 16.5-point home favorites, 52.5 the total in this game. I can't say I have a strong opinion here. I'm not fading Utah at home. That much I can tell you.
Yeah.
Not fading Utah at home. We saw them just destroy that Baylor defense over the weekend. I should have been on. I didn't bet it. I should have. I wanted to. I forgot. Utah team total over. I should have bet that. Said there's probably a good chance they put up big points there against Baylor. And sure enough,
they had some weird games though in Waco the last couple of years.
Yes,
Utah did. Yeah, good teams too. Like strange games. Last week.
Kansas State again with now that Dylan Edwards is out again. Look, that offense is struggling. 14 points on the road against Oklahoma State as a 20-point favorite. I mean, you're a 20-point favorite and you don't even score 20 points. Okay, that's a bad sign, in my opinion, for K-State. Now, that said, and do I want to lay this? I'll say this about Utah. When they win big. 48-14, 42-10, 53-7, 45-14, 55-28. Every recent Utah win. So if you like Utah, you might as well lay the points because their last 5 wins have been margins of 34, 32, 46, 31, and 27. Like, they have won every game by a massive margin here. So, yeah, it's Utah or pass. I don't know if I'm going to lay it with Utah, but I could only look at the Utes here. C-Mac, what do you think?
Oh, man, this seems like wants me just like to pass. Yeah, I think it's starting to get a little bit out of hand. But if you love Utah, like you mentioned, they're just kicking teams' asses, taking names, running all over people. And I always have the problem here with K-State. Just defensively, the mistakes that they make on the road, that just drive me nuts. Johnson.
Yep. Avery Johnson in that environment.
Not the guy.
Yeah.
And it's just tricky. Could they hang in this game? But I gotta be a pass.
Yeah. And by the way, Dampier did not finish the game against Baylor. So you look at all those points. The backup, Bird. Bird is the word. Bird is the bird. Fickler over at the quarterback spot for Utah in that game. But it didn't matter who was quarterback because they were just lining up and just running it down, Baylor's throat throughout that game. So like I said, but keep an eye on that. Dampier's been, battling a nagging injury. No sure thing to suit up here in this game. But again, didn't matter when Ficklen's a great runner. And boy, is he a great runner. He had 166 rushing yards against Baylor. And Wayshawn Parker, of course, did the rest for that Utah offense in that game. All right, we move along now. Next up, Arizona State, Colorado. Arizona State, 7-point road favorites, 49 the total in this game. I look at this as how much does Colorado give a shit at this point of the season? If they do, maybe then I'm interested in the +7 here against Arizona State. That's a big friggin' if because Deion's got these health issues that he's been battling for months. I don't know if his mind is totally locked in on coaching a team that's, season's gone downhill at this stage. How much are the players still, checked in and invested, in what's going on, considering you're now 3-7 and you're not even going to go bowling now. after the loss to West Virginia. You are coming off a bye week, and you are at home. Is that enough to get Colorado pumped back up again to play a good game and with effort, with gusto? Maybe, but I'm not willing to bet on it. That much I can tell you. And I need to see more from Julian Lewis. I was not overly impressed with how he performed in his first start at quarterback for the Buffs against West Virginia before the bye week. Arizona State's coming off a 25-23 win against West Virginia. We know Sam Leavitt shut down for the year, which means it's Jeff Sims, who's actually been okay at quarterback. But this team, lands a full 7 on the road. You look at the road performances. They were road chalk at Mississippi State and lost. They only won by 3 at Baylor, blown out at Utah. They only won by 5 against Iowa State on the road. So there's not a lot of evidence of Arizona State winning by a big margin, but I have no freaking clue if they're invested still, Colorado, this football team, and finishing the season strong out of a bye week, given how dismal and disappointing it's been. So this is a real tough game. C-Mac, what do you think? Arizona State, Colorado.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Like, what do I get here? Like, if I had to, Colorado, just everything's been the free fall the last few weeks. They lose by 7, don't cover for the most part. I don't, depending on the number. Maybe some people got 7, 6.5 for the most part. The bad loss at home to Arizona. I mean, before that, this is the team you want to back at home. You know what I mean? Like, especially if Lewis can play, decent as he did last week. So, and you got to sell out that Arizona State's going to run. Arizona State, too. They're giving it up to Fox and then West Virginia there. West Virginia making some plays. I think he threw for 350. So it's just tricky. I just can't take Arizona. I just don't know if I can jump on Colorado here.
All right, next up, Baylor, Arizona. Arizona 6.5-point home favorites, 62.5 the total here in this game. My first thought here is over rather than a side. Baylor just continues to be one of those teams. Robertson and the offense is pretty good, but they are giving up just a ton of points, and that continues to be the concern. So I think Baylor could score, though, a little bit on Arizona. Arizona defense was good last week against Cincinnati, but they're still they've been up and down. The offense certainly is starting to play better. They've put up 52, 24, 30 on the road at Cincinnati, so Fafita. And that Arizona offense starting to heat up. So rather than, I don't really have interest in laying this many with Arizona. I don't know if I trust Baylor's defense enough to trust them, even getting 6.5, but I like this over. I think there's points. What do you think, C-Mac? Baylor, Arizona.
Yeah, I think this goes over. This, to me, has got over written all over it. I don't know what Baylor we get. Like, can they score enough to maybe hang around? It's like these numbers haven't been big enough for, you know what I mean, to kind of get on.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we're getting 6.5. This team's dog shit ATS. They just don't cover. And you don't cover, and you're betting them, you're screwed. So I don't like that. In Arizona, you talk about 7-3. Fafita coming back maybe a couple years ago a little bit, slinging the ball around. This offense that I thought looked horrible last year, and even a little bit to start this year. So, I just think there's some points. I think Baylor could hang around, though, in this game. It could be a one-score type game.
All right, Cal and Stanford. This is the big game, as they call it, this rivalry matchup. Cal -3 road favorites, 49 the total in this game. Cal on the road, I'm not usually that interested in them. That being said, the last road game, outright win is 18.5-point dogs at Louisville off a bye week. So is Stanford. So both teams are off a bye week here going into this game. This is a tough one, too. I mean,
man,
do I trust Stanford? Cal, to me, is the talented team, more talented team. They've also owned this series. They've won 4 straight against Stanford, including 2 in a row here where they've won by double digits. I think I lean Cal -3. I wouldn't lay more than -3, but I think I've got to lean in that direction. I think the Sagapolutele can move the ball on Stanford. The Stanford offense is starting to regress again and struggle. They had a couple games there against San Jose State and Boston College where they were putting up points, but they're really starting to have a tougher time again moving the football. Yeah, again, don't know if I bet Cal, but lean that way. C-Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, I do too. Just because a little bit of the matchup, Stanford can't run the ball. I don't know how much success they don't really throw it. That leads to lower scoring if they could keep this game light. But Cal just wants to throw it. And this Stanford secondary is still horrible. We've been talking about for 3 or 4 years now. They just give it up. As long as he doesn't turn the ball over, interceptions. Yep. It seems like they could go in there and win. Maybe not big, but by a touchdown
it's
or
not
10
Gulbertson
points.
At quarterback anymore. It's for Stanford. It's Elijah Brown who took over last game, and I wasn't overly impressed. Need to see more from him.
Either guy in there, I don't think it's very good. But who knows? This is always big, of course, rivalry game. Cal Stanford, fans on the field.
There won't be bands. There won't be fans on the field because I don't know how many people are showing up for this game.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's not Cal and Stanford.
Doesn't have the same luster. Yeah.
No, that's for damn sure. All right, next up we've got Arkansas, Texas. Texas 10.5-point home favorites, 57. I'm on the Hogs here. I just think for Texas, that loss to Georgia is like your last shot at making the playoff. You can't be a playoff team now. I don't want even if they somehow beat Texas A&M, which is on deck to finish the regular season, I don't even think that gets them in the playoff. I think they've lost too many games now for Texas to make it. And I worry about that coming off the Georgia loss. And you got A&M, a big rivalry next week. And this game in between, I mean, it's the perfect spot to maybe think Arkansas can maintain competitiveness. And I'll say this, they played a little better on defense last week, did Arkansas. So a little sign of life from that team on the defensive side of the football against LSU. And which was good to see. Obviously, we know offensively with Talon Green, that's been the greater strength of the Razorbacks this season. But, I just worry about that headspace of Texas going into this game. Again, Arkansas with the 1-point loss against LSU last week, very competitive, easily could have won that game. And I just worry about where Texas is at. And Texas, by the way, is a bigger favorite lately. 4.5-point favorite at Florida. They lost outright. 39.5-point favorite against UTEP. They didn't cover. 37-point favorite against San Jose State early in the year. Didn't cover. 12-point favorite at Kentucky. They won by 3 in overtime. 8.5-point favorite against Mississippi State on the road. They won by 7 again in overtime. And they were down big in that game against Mississippi State and had to come back just to force overtime. Yeah, I like Arkansas here. C-Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm on Arkansas here. I just... other than I think Texas's defense at times, which is started to show leaky in this games, I think Arkansas will be able to move the football. Yeah, Texas is out of it. Let's just go there. They'll just be playing to beat A&M because they want to beat them. You know what I mean? But yeah, the struggles last week were pretty bad. But I think Arkansas can move the football here. They basically have scored on anyone and everyone except Notre Dame, but they were just blown out of the water right away in that game. I think that game was 28-0 in I don't know, half first quarter.
Yeah.
So, but anybody else that they played, they've been able to move the football. And I think it's too many here.
All right, next up, Washington, UCLA. The Huskies 10.5-point road favorites, 52.5 the total here in this game. Jed, now they're starting to become concerns here with Washington. We've saw the Wisconsin loss was a terrible loss. Make no mistake about it. Shouldn't be losing that game even on the road against Wisconsin. Now they did bounce back. They pummeled Purdue 49-13. UCLA got blown out by Ohio State last week, and now they're on a 3-game losing streak. So the initial bump from the coaching change is kind of worn off for UCLA. But I don't know if I want to lay 10.5 on the road with Washington. Washington on the road just lost as an 11-point road favorite to Wisconsin. They got blown out at Michigan. They didn't cover at Maryland as a 5.5-point road favorite. Not a good enough Big Ten road track record for Washington for me to trust them in this price range. It's lean UCLA. Don't know if I bet it. C-Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to get involved here. UCLA is just I don't know what to make of them. They have the run. It's just an awful start. They look better. They've been a better home team. But can we trust them? This team doesn't get any pressure on the quarterback. They're dead last.
Yep.
There's 7 sacks. This team has 7 sacks the whole year. That boggles my mind. But Washington, we talked last week, good spot for them. This is just one, you stay away. Can you get to this dog here at UCLA after getting shellacked? Losers of 4 straight ATS as well. Can you buy low on them? I don't know. I think that they had that nice little run there for 3 or 4 weeks, and then it's gone back down south.
All right, this is by the way, finally CBS has a good game for their Big Ten spot at 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific on Saturday with Nessler and Gary Danielson with USC and Oregon. I don't know how they got this game because usually they give Fox or with Gus and Joel Klatt, they give them the best Big Ten game, or they give NBC the better Big Ten game with Noah Eagle at night. But no, CBS has this one. We've got Oregon 9.5-point home favorites, 60 the total. Big step up from CBS and Nessler and Danielson getting Michigan State, Penn State last week on the CBS game. This is a good one. Obviously, a lot of implications. Oregon is rolling along, destroyed Minnesota, and I was on Oregon in a bunch of different ways there in that game. Dante Moore was just outstanding. He just could not be stopped in that game. 42-13 over Minnesota. USC's coming off a hard-fought win against Iowa. That was not easy, but they found a way. 26-21 in that game. We'll see how they fare here. Obviously, for Oregon's defense, they have been exceptional in the secondary. And this is a very good passing attack with Maeva and Makai Lemon and all the weapons they have. So it's strength versus strength. Good USC passing game versus very good Oregon secondary. The USC offense has actually done a nice job running the football. King Miller, I've got to give him some praise because they lost their primary running back, Wayman Jordan injury. King Miller stepped up, and he's played pretty well in his absence. So, and when you look at the Oregon defense, they've also been very good against the run. So it's, is there going to be a pathway for USC to move the football against this excellent defense? However, you start to look at schedule for Oregon, Northwestern, Penn State, Rutgers, Wisconsin, Iowa, Minnesota. They've really faced one elite team, one elite offense, and it was here in Eugene. It was Indiana, and they lost that game as a 7-point favorite, 30-20. So does that leave you with the thought that, okay, they gave up 30 in the game they played against the best offense they've seen, Indiana? Does that give you some faith in USC being able to score enough points to hang around here? Now, USC, we've documented this, CMAC, horrific on the Big Ten road, have not covered a point spread under Lincoln Riley since moving to the Big Ten on the road in the Midwest Eastern time zone. But this is not that. This is the Pacific Northwest. This is the same time zone. So it's not facing Purdue and Nebraska and Michigan and Minnesota and all
this
these.
Is old Pac-12.
You get to stay in your own time zone. No body clock issues. I am kind of intrigued by USC plus the points here, but I just worry though about the defense too, because if Dante Moore plays like he did against Minnesota and they score at will, USC at some point may not be able to keep up. I actually lean over. Here's the issue though. I do think this could be a weather game, even though I want to take an over here in this USC Oregon game. I'm looking at a chance of rain, 50%. No wind, but 50% chance of rain for this game on Saturday. This is a good one. Looking forward to it. CMAC, what do you think here, USC, Oregon?
Andrew knows what's up. I need 10. I'm greedy.
Yeah,
I'm fucking greedy too. The way I want it, 9.5.
Yeah.
Give me 10.5. And maybe, because I think they could hang in this game a little bit. You talked about both these teams. By the way, on the last game, hats off to USC. I knocked the defense a lot. the numbers are better than what they are. They played an unbelievable second half against Iowa. Thank God Iowa still covered. I was happy there, apparently, but not giving up nothing in that second half and playing well. The offense got it going. You know what? Looking at it, it's like next week, Oregon's at Washington, I think, is the big game. That's why we talk about the Washington game. Be leery of laying the points. I think that might be a big double-digit home dog with Washington. But, yeah, how good is this Oregon secondary? Yeah. They lost Indiana. They barely won at Iowa, which is tough. I don't know. Their schedule to me has been soft. Really, I don't know. They're very good. Moore's great. They got great weapons. But I think SC could be in this. This seems like, are we going to get up? There's got to be some points. Maybe not. Like, I know these defenses have been good, though.
Later in the week.
But do you think it's because of the schedules? Like, they just haven't faced an offense like this against each other, kind of?
I think they faced
like an offense.
Nazis on offense, Oregon, quite honestly.
Yeah.
And the one really great offense all year they've played was Indiana, and at home they lost and they gave up 30 points. And they struggled with Mendoza in that game, I remember.
And speaking of getting the 10.5, you remember Notre Dame game that got me the cover with SC, 34-24. So, and this maybe one just get on live.
Against Notre Dame, tough place, and they only lost by 10, and they had some injuries, USC, and they were still competitive in that game. So I'm leaning USC.
And they had some mistakes that kind of blew it. I think it would have been even closer. So, and even, sometimes if you just don't get the number, I'm not going to do it. I just will pass, or I'll maybe bet this game live if I see a situation to team up. You know what I mean? Get it that way and get a better number. I do it all the time. I've done it more and more year in and year, every single year. It's like stay off it pre-game, and if the situation we play out how this game is going to be played out, then I'll jump in live. Team gets down or up, depending on what happens.
Never the worst approach to go that route. That is for sure. All right, Louisville, SMU. We've got SMU 3-point home favorites, 53 the total in this game. I worry about Louisville. That was such a boy, and I like Jeff Braun, but man, he's got to get his team to not take these dumb penalties.
Oh man, how bad was that?
Just can't be doing those things, and Jeff Braun knows that, but cost them a game. Against Clemson last week, 20 to 9. That's now 2 gut-wrenching losses in a row. SMU off a bye. This feels like an SMU smash spot for me potentially, and I don't know if I trust Louisville on the road. SMU off a bye. SMU's been pretty good at home, 4-1. They beat Clemson at home. Or actually, they beat Clemson on the road, but they beat Miami at home. That was definitely a great home win for them most recently. Crushed Boston College after that. They played good football, SMU. 5 of their last 6 they've won. Louisville, after back-to-back just excruciating and painful losses, I don't want to trust them on the road in this spot. So it's SMU or pass for me. C-Mac, what do you think?
Our guy Truth Teller, we'll get at that at the end of the show.
Yeah, we'll
my man.
Something on Monday night.
Yeah, we'll hit the. Yeah, I think there could be some props. I've been looking. I haven't made a bet, so I don't want to say it, but I'm sure Babano has. You have action. I believe.
Yeah,
he's got. This seems like a spot for SMU. This is too tough for me. I think Louisville plays better. This team's been very good on the road. They win at Virginia Tech, at Miami, at Pitt. Every time you want to jump off them, this is like with Louisville, you get back on.
Like that with them, yes, I agree.
They're off back-to-back, just breaking losses, though. Maybe is this just they lay down and roll, or is this team got a little guts and come in there and this
late season bye week for SMU, as I mentioned.
Yeah, this one's tough for me. I'm off of now.
I don't know. Miller Moss, sometimes he looks good, and other times he's weird thing going on with him.
But the defense, too, at times plays well, then gets gashed, and the penalties, like you were talking about, it's like sometimes they've had a bunch in games and just been sloppy. It's just nothing's been really consistent.
All right, Illinois, Wisconsin. Illinois 9.5. Point road favorites, 41.5 the total. Illinois A convincing win against Maryland in their last game. We'll see if they can keep the ball rolling here against Wisconsin. Wisconsin off a 31-7 loss at Indiana in their last game over the weekend. But again, that's Indiana. You'd expect them to probably struggle a little bit in that game. Carter Smith has been anointed the quarterback for Wisconsin here in these last couple of games. It's a work in progress for him for sure. That was actually his very first start. You got to think he's a little bit better here in this game. I'm kind of tempted by Wisconsin at this number just because home dog, Illinois laying this many on the road. I'm not really interested in that. You got to think this young freshman quarterback for Wisconsin's a little bit better here in his second start. And look, they did beat Washington. It's a big home dog the last time they were at Camp Randall. So I don't know if I bet it, but I certainly have a lean to Wisconsin plus 9.5. C-Mac, what do you think?
I want to. I don't know if I can. I gotta. That just the non-scoring, just a killer. Like that means the defense, which has kept me, in the Washington game, if they anyone better. Like even in that Oregon game, it was 21-7. And it seems in some of these other ones where they haven't played bad, but they just worn down. The defense against Iowa or Ohio State in some of those games. But they are the better defense than Illinois, that's for sure. And you're at home. This always tempts me. Not quite double-digit dog that I want, too. But, I just don't know what the quarterback play just hasn't been there. And you know what's been the struggle, too? They can't even run the ball.
Yeah.
Like Wisconsin, so
Wisconsin can't be Wisconsin because they can't run the football. Yeah.
I know. This one's and the under, I lean that way. Can they score more than 14 points to cover this? That's still, stay under, I think. So under, more Wisconsin under.
All right, Kansas, Iowa State. Iowa State 4-point home favorites, 55.5 the total here in this game. Iowa State, maybe a little bit of a late season, push for them. They've certainly been a little bit better here down the stretch after a bit of a up and down start to the year. Kansas, meanwhile, they've kind of gone back the other way. They've lost 3 of their last 4. Iowa State's, beat TCU in their last game, 20-17. Close loss with Arizona State. We'll see how this one plays out. Kansas has won and covered 3 straight, by the way, against Iowa State. We'll see if that continues here in this game. Just don't know if I'm ready to lay this number right now with Iowa State in this game. To lean a little bit to Kansas in this one, but nothing strong early in the week. C-Mac, what do you think, Kansas, Iowa State?
These are 2 teams I just don't want to bet on. I haven't been betting on them. Or they just, or just fade them. I don't trust the defense here with these 2 teams. Do you?
I don't. I lean over.
I kind of lean over.
I like Jalen Daniels and I like Rocco Becht. I think the offenses have some capabilities, but the defense is not so much.
And the weather's pretty good here. Just double check.
I will check it.
I don't have it up.
It is good.
Okay.
Yeah, no issues.
Yeah, I might look at it a little more. It seems. This Iowa State team is just. Why would you want to lay points with them at home? The team usually good at home has not been. So far this year, it's been a struggle. And the defense has just had tons of issues, all 3 levels, especially the secondary. We've hit on that a bunch.
No doubt. So like I said, lean Syracuse. I don't know if I bet it, but like I said, I do lean Syracuse. All right, Minnesota, Northwestern. So I could only look Northwestern here. 4.5-point home favorites, 41, but they're now laying points. And I had Northwestern against Michigan, and I normally like Northwestern catching points. Am I ready to lay? I damn sure don't want Minnesota, okay? Because Minnesota is, 0-4 straight up, 0-4 against the spread. Like, they haven't even been competitive in these road games. Cal, Ohio State, Iowa, Oregon, all of them double-digit losses. They've been miserable on the road. Now, I will say this. The one time we saw Northwestern lay points at home in the Big Ten, well, twice. They didn't cover against UCLA. Won by 3. They did cover against Purdue, shutting them out 19-0. And I don't know if they're going to – like, the one thing I'll say about Northwestern's defense getting a little bit better, and I just don't see enough in Minnesota right now offensively. Drake Lindsay is by far a big work in progress, and they just can't run the football. Like, they are 126 in the country in rushing yards per game. Again, Northwestern or pass. Am I ready to lay more than a field goal with Northwestern, though? Probably not. C-Mac, what do you think?
These teams are similar. But you talked about the biggest thing you hit on is just Minnesota not running the ball. It's just such of their identity, these last years, and just they can't do it. Well, I mean, it leads me, this game's not going to be high scoring, but who knows? There's no way I lay points with Northwestern. I don't know why. No way. Minnesota's been awful on the road. This team, I don't know if I bet this because I don't want to bet this football team really, but I think this screams just 3-point game all over it, back and forth. Minnesota's defensive numbers are still pretty good. On the other side, we don't have great quarterback play on both sides of the football here. So, yeah, Preston Stone. You know what? He hasn't turned the ball over the last 2 games. You know what that means. He's got a turnover coming, a couple.
Yeah.
So,
you always worry.
A shout out to Preston Stone. I don't need to bury him too much.
All right, Michigan State and Iowa. We've got Iowa 17.5-point home favorites, 42.5 the total here in this game. Let me just see here with Michigan State, Iowa. Yeah, I'm just about done with Michigan State. That was heartbreaking because they're in the game, and then they just fall apart. Turnovers.
The last 3 minutes of the game.
Exactly. They were right there down by 4, and the point spread cover slips away. I was not overly impressed with Alessio Milivojevic, the quarterback for Michigan State. So now they got Iowa coming back home off a tough loss to USC, but now back at home. And we've seen them at times be able to thump teams here at home, like Minnesota, for example. But at the same time, I don't want to lay this many points with Iowa. So I'll tell you this right now, I won't be betting this game. Lean under. C-Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's another Michigan State team total under, maybe. I don't know if it's that bad of travel. It's just a tough game out west. They play a lot better here at home. Michigan State, they were the backdoor kind of kings so far this year in that game. Then finally they let slip in the last 4 minutes of the game last week. The defense you kind of talked about got tired, turnovers. I don't love the quarterback play. I don't know. But when you see Iowa laying this number, we talked about Northwestern, it's kind of like we cashing them as dogs. We stay off as these huge favorites. And how have they been? Minnesota, they won huge. They were just 7.5.
Yeah.
Not 15.5. Of course, thank God they beat UMass. I'm sure they pulled the troops.
This is the second biggest favorite role this year for Iowa outside of the UMass game. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know. They might cover this, but
they're actually 3-0 against the spread. Their last 3 games as a favorite. 2-0 against the spread as a Big Ten favorite.
Yeah, they've been good this year.
I'd honestly lay the points before I take them. I would. I mean, I don't know if Michigan State's going to do much of anything offensively here against that Iowa defense.
Yeah, usually these are in the past have been great football games.
Yeah,
with 10, 15 years, they always seem to be close. Michigan State would beat them a lot too.
Yep.
Of course, better Michigan State teams.
All right, Kentucky, Vanderbilt. I'll just throw it to you. I probably don't have much here. I mean, I don't bet against Vanderbilt, especially at home. I don't want to either. But again, with this Vanderbilt team, I don't always love taking them laying numbers like this. They're laying 9.5, 53.5 the total here in this game for Diego Pavia and the Vanderbilt Commodores. You've got Vanderbilt off a bye week 2 following the win against Auburn, so that's a good thing for Vanderbilt. Makes this a better spot. Kentucky played Tennessee Tech, an FCS team, last week. We'll see how this one plays out. I will say this. We've seen 4 meetings. Well, Kentucky is 7-3 last 10 against Vanderbilt, but the Vanderbilt wins were by 7 and by 3. So if you buy into series history, you're on Kentucky here, plus 9.5. in this game because the only 2 victories of late for Vanderbilt against Kentucky, they didn't win by this kind of a margin. Keep that in mind. Do we trust Cutter Boley to lead this offense on the road? That's the big question here for a guy that so far this year he's got 8 interceptions, does have 13 touchdowns, 68% completions, but there's been a little bit of a inconsistency to Cutter Boley at the quarterback spot. So I respect Vanderbilt too much to bet against them, but I will admit, if Kentucky covers plus 9.5, I wouldn't be totally surprised. C-Mac, what do you think?
Is there a few 10s out there?
At the moment, no. Well, actually, there is actually a
couple 10s.
Just a couple.
Yeah, I see one.
Yeah,
a little bit of juice on him. I don't love Vandy's off the bye, and sometimes with Kentucky, I worry about how well they're playing and they lay an egg on the road.
Yeah.
You know, they're a lot better team at home. This total, I lean under. I don't think Kentucky wants to get in a shootout or can get in a shootout for the most part. So under here, and dare I say, fade Vandy. I don't know when's the last time I said that. A long time. I would not lay these points with him. I think Kentucky's playing some pretty good football, and the quarterback still scares the shit out of me. Talked about Boley, but I think the defense has gotten a lot better running through the numbers, especially the second half. So easy win wherever they played. Tennessee Tech, 42-10.
Yep.
But I'd look out here. If you just love Vandy, I don't know about laying it. Maybe they kick their ass.
Not at this number. Maybe they do, but not at this number. Not at this. And given the fact Kentucky's played them well over the years. All right, Western Kentucky, LSU. LSU 22.5-point home favorites, 50.5 the total. I want to take Western Kentucky here. I'm on fade LSU right now.
Yeah,
I took
I don't blame you.
last week. Big points. Rodney Tisdale has gotten the last 3 starts at quarterback for Western Kentucky with Maverick McIver injured. But here's the interesting thing. Maverick McIver was healthy and able to play last week. And the head coach, Tyson Helton, stuck with Rodney Tisdale as his quarterback. So maybe that's a sign he's just going to roll with Tisdale here the rest of the season for Western Kentucky. We'll see how it plays out. But Western Kentucky, 8-2 against the spread to go with their straight-up record. 42-26. He looked all right, Tisdale. You know, in the 3 starts, he's played pretty well, to be quite honest with you. Rodney Tisdale at the quarterback spot. I just don't trust LSU. LSU, yeah, they're at home, but a non-conference opponent after games against Arkansas and Alabama following the firing of Brian Kelly, I don't trust them to have the focus or the performance to be laying 22.5. Not to mention for them, you know, while Nussmeier's been banged up, and obviously we saw Michael Van Buren get the start for the LSU offense last week, he's nothing to write home about. And he's not a quarterback I'm trusting in a price range like this. So I'm definitely interested in Western Kentucky. Haven't bet them yet, but I'm sure they'll make my card in some fashion. C-Mac, what do you think here?
I think it's the dog here in Western Kentucky or nothing. I took it earlier in the year. Was it La Tech? It was like 23-7. Is LSU offense really good? I mean, this Western Kentucky defense has its issues, and LSU at home if they're humming. But what do you get from the quarterback play here from Van Buren, my guy? Martin Van Buren, Michael Van Buren. He's pretty average. He was all right last week. I don't know. I just think this team's overvalued. I don't think they're very good. So, yeah, I agree with you. Western Kentucky, I think, might be look over the 3 touchdowns.
Not to mention, and he's trying to do the best he can in a tough situation, the interim coach, Frank Wilson. But Frank Wilson's not stupid. He's no dummy. He knows he's not going to be the permanent head coach. LSU is going to
Frank's going through the motions.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, no doubt. There's going to be a full-on coaching search for the next LSU head coach. So, like I said, I think that impacts the coaching and the prep a little bit as well for games like this where you're facing a non-conference team. So, yeah, definitely Hilltoppers. I'll be on them in some fashion in this game. All right, our last game for this. Oh, by the way, I want to answer Andrew's question. Northwestern, he said, are they playing at beside the lake? No, they're beside the lake this year. No, it's their stadium for this season, but they're waiting for the other stadium to
Yeah.
get finished being built. So they're playing next to the lake, which means check for wet wind. By the way, anytime you see Northwestern playing at home. All right, final game for this show, this week's edition of the College Football Hitting the Book show. We've got Syracuse, Notre Dame. Notre Dame, 35-point home favorites, 51.5 the total. I don't even think with 35 points in my pocket, I can take Syracuse.
Yeah.
This offense is just, ever since Angeli went down, I mean, we've talked about this a bunch. They've just had nothing on offense since he went down. Ricky Collins has been terrible, and yet, they've tried that lacrosse player, and he might have been even worse, quite honestly. And so it's looking like it's going to be back to Ricky Collins for Syracuse. But bottom line is their offense is just, it's brutal. Look at these results: 3, 18, 13, 16, 10, 10. They haven't scored 20 points. 6 straight losses, 2-4 against the spread during that time. Notre Dame's defense is definitely much better than it was early in the season. There's maybe incentive to pile it on, maybe for Notre Dame too, in games like this. I don't know if I'd lay this many points, but I'd be closer to taking Notre Dame and laying the points than taking Syracuse. I don't know how they score. Do you maybe look at Syracuse team total under? It's certainly been a team that's been, like I said, hasn't cracked 20 points in a very long time. Their team total 7.5 here on the road at Notre Dame. Yeah, I think it's going to be an issue for them trying to get to that number. CMAC, what do you think here? Syracuse, Notre Dame.
Yeah, I have nothing here. I mean, Notre Dame's team total is going to be, 42.5?
Yep.
You got to get over that. I have to be under that because this could kind of just be, or I don't know. Are they going to run it up too? Notre Dame.
We're giving up almost 5
wins.
yards per carry, by the way, Syracuse. They're going to be able to do whatever they want, Notre Dame. Love and Price are going to be able to run it down their throat. And CJ Carr, to the good tight end that they've got, should be able to have some success throwing that football throughout this game because their secondary is miserable too, Syracuse.
Yes.
So Eli Raridan and should be able to have a big day in the passing game too, and Fields as well.
It should be, but it's borderline. What's Syracuse? Is it 9.5 the team total, or is it 10.5?
Syracuse is in that 7.5, 8.5 range.
7. Oh, it's lower than 9.5. Okay, that's dicey. I mean, do they score fucking? Notre Dame's given up a few of these games 7-point scores, like NC State. They've given up 10 to BC, 10 to Navy. We were talking about that earlier. It's the late game touchdown or weird shit that can happen there. I'd have to have over 10.5 to bet it. Syracuse, their team total under, just to be safe. Touchdown, the field goal there. Notre Dame, hats off to my Fighting Irish. I think they're going to run it here after the losses. Bavano, they're good to go. I think they win here, and maybe it's not a crazy beatdown, but they just finish at Stanford, and I think they get the job done there. So everyone said they got to do it. Looks like they're going to do it.
It does, yeah. So at this point in time, we're going to be seeing Notre Dame in a college football playoff near you next month. It sure looks that way. After those losses early in the year to Miami and Texas A&M, people weren't so sure of that. But
I know.
By them. They had no margin for error. They had to win out, and boy, it looks like they're going to do that. Great stuff.
Definitely.
Great show as always with Connor Mack, College Football Hitting the Book. Shout out to everyone in the chat that joined us here. Andrew G, Kenny Woo Woo Woo, James Mitchell, FB Gotti, Aubrey, Ian Shaver, Tommy Unders. I already mentioned James Mitchell, Ross Pitts, Gorky, Myron Kidd, everybody that joined us. We appreciate you guys. Hit the like button. Just a reminder, we'll be on tomorrow, Tuesday College Basketball Hitting the Book show, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. Members only shows Wednesday and Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. Become a member. Friday shows in particular are great. We get you all ready for the weekend, college football, NFL, talk, of course, NHL, NBA, college basketball as well. So become a YouTube channel member of the Hitting the Books channel and get some of those members-only perks, including the 2 bonus shows every week, Wednesdays and Fridays. CMAC, anything you want to add before we wrap things up?
I think that's it. Just everyone hit the like button. We appreciate all the regulars, the real ones, and especially the members, as always. Yeah, we'll see you tomorrow. College basketball. Ready for it. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's get
Champions Classic headlining it tomorrow with the ESPN doubleheader. You got Michigan State, Kentucky,
Oh.
and Duke and Kansas. Yep.
Do it since I'm not our guy Truth Teller. A little Monday Night Football for him.
Yes.
Savannah,
Dallas for me. I actually laid the 3 with Dallas. Small bet.
Okay.
I think their defense with Quinnen Williams and that Wilson guy from Cincinnati, the linebacker, at least it should make their defense a little bit better. And the Raiders stink. Enough said. So I took Dallas -3.
Yeah. I think if the Raiders do score early, I jump on the Cowboys. I talk about the Raiders. Raiders just lose. They find ways to lose football games. So if you could get like Dallas definitely under the field goal, if like Raiders score, let's say, I look at it. Just Raiders
on paper,
team.
as bad as the Dallas defense is, like Quinnen Williams and Logan Wilson, the guys they got at the deadline, are supposed to help that defense. We'll see if they do. Especially against the run, Williams will help.
Yeah.
All right, there you go. Good stuff. That's a wrap for Connor Mack. I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great week. Enjoy the college football action this week for Week 13, and good luck. And we will be back with you tomorrow for college basketball Hitting the Book Show. But for the next edition of the college football Hitting the Book Show, we'll see you, as always, next Monday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. Until then, class dismissed.
Peace.